all phones and electronic devices. Any recommendation made by this board, if you wish to appeal it, appeals cards are to our right. We respectfully ask that if you wish to speak in front of the commission, that you fill out a speaker's card for our records. This is a public hearing. Each side will be provided 10 minutes with 5 minutes for rebuttal. And lastly, if you wish to discuss any case afterwards, we would ask that you leave the building, as if you go in the back foyer, it does echo back into the chamber. At this time, we would ask you to stand for our invocation by Commissioner Casabon, followed by a Pledge of Allegiance from Commissioner Richardson.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for just allowing us to be out here tonight to carry on the parish business. Lead and guide us in all our decisions, that we make the right decisions for everyone that's concerned. As we take us home safely as we end the meeting. In Jesus' name, amen. The flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. In our package are the minutes of the November 4th, 2015 meeting. If the commission would review those. Commissioner Casabon?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve, a second by Commissioner Lauren. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I would ask for a vote.
Dave,
Commissioner Davis?
I believe under the meeting minutes, under the initial roll call, are we missing the absent? Dougherty and Casabon for that one? Shouldn't there be an absent besides just the present? Is that correct?
We can make that amendment as to, I think it actually reflects who was present.
Okay, so it
we'll-
doesn't actually also,
But
okay.
we'll make that notation. With that, we do have a motion and a second to approve. I would ask for a vote. Motion carries. Staff, are there any cases you wish to be postponed tonight?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, on page 2, number 4, 2015 38 ZC, and we have a representative here to answer any questions you may have.
Any others? Okay. Case 2015-38-ZC, existing zoning CB1 Community-Based Facilities District, proposed zoning NC4 Neighborhood Institutional District, 27,565 square feet. The petitioner, the Ernest Corporation, Christopher Inman. The owner, the Ernest Corporation, Christopher Inman. The parcel is located on the west side of U.S. Highway 190, frontage road, south of Fontainebleau Drive, Ward 4, District 4. If the petitioner's here, if you'd advise why you'd like postponement?
Do I want postponement? I thought I was just here to answer questions.
We
Yeah,
just-
the owner requested to have the case postponed, and this is his attorney to answer any questions.
Oh, okay. Rick Richardson for the Ernest Corporation.
Just curious why the petitioner has asked, or do you know?
I didn't know he asked to postpone. I thought he asked me to come for him
If-
because they had a Christmas party
If I'm not mistaken, he told me he was out of town, couldn't attend.
at an out-of-town Christmas party.
Okay.
I don't
So
see.
this
I
is
guess
why
we
he
can go
wants it
forward.
postponed?
So, and the petitioner did request through staff to have it postponed?
Yes, sir, he sent me an email, I have it in writing.
Okay.
Okay.
Then
All right.
your client would like it postponed.
I guess. Well, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else from the public wish to comment? Hearing none, I'd close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
Motion to postpone.
Motion by Commissioner Davis to postpone, second by Commissioner Matthews. Commissioner Casabon? No? Okay. Any further comments? Hearing none, I would ask for a vote. Motion carries. Okay. Item 1, 2015-20-ZC, existing zoning, A2 Suburban District, proposed zoning, A4 Single-Family Residential District. The parcel, 57.4 acres. The petitioner, Darling Design Homes, Inc., James Coate. The owner, Ruth Begay. Parcels located on the north side of Harrison Avenue, east of Reed Lane, west of Flowers Drive, Ward 3, District 2. Staff?
Mr. Chairman, staff would like to suggest to hear case 1 and 2 at the same time and vote separately, considering that it affects the same property.
We will do such, and we will vote on them separately.
Would you like,
To hear them together? No, the chair can make that decision. Mr. Marone? Oh, staff? Okay. We
would you
will,
like
we will,
to
we'll
hear-
hear them together, however, we will vote on them as separate cases.
so would you like me to read the
Yes,
staff comments for both cases?
yes, please.
Okay. The petitioner is requesting a zoning change from A2 to A4. The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses that would allow for the preservation of the natural environment. The north side of Harrison Avenue is currently developed with undeveloped parcels of land and residential uses on lots of a minimum of 1 acre in size. However, the lot size within the subdivision located directly across from the site are zoned A4A, and for the most part, less than 1/4 of an acre in size. Staff does not have any objection to the request, considering that the site is surrounded by a mix of residential uses at a variety of density. At this time, staff would like to recommend approval of the request for A4 Single-Family Residential District. Also, a petition has also been submitted for a plan unit development to be developed on the same site for a 138 residential lot subdivision, which would be accessed through 2 different entrances to the site. As noted in a staff recommendation, staff would like to recommend approval. However, as stated within the staff comments, would like to suggest that additional active amenities would be provided throughout the subdivision.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Marone on behalf of the petitioner for both of these cases. This particular property is 57.4 acres, located on the north side of Harrison Avenue, otherwise known as Dog Pound Road, just south of Covington. As Ms. Lambert noted, across the street from this particular property is the Tammany Hills area, and to our north we border the Abita River. The property is currently zoned A2, and we're requesting A4 underlying zoning with a PUD overlay. As for our underlying zoning request, the property across Harrison, Tammany Hills, as staff noted, is zoned A4A and is quite dense, much more dense than we are proposing in this particular development, and much more dense than our underlying zoning would even suggest. There are also a number of A4 developments along Harrison to our east on both the north and south side of Harrison Avenue. So we would suggest to you respectfully that A4 in this location would be appropriate. I would also note that to our north, the PUD that I mentioned that borders the river with us is a multifamily PUD, which is a great deal more dense than we are proposing for underlying zoning or the PUD plan itself. Given the nature of this particular property, and in large part due to the fact that it does abut the Abita River, which is a scenic river and is worthy of protection, we have decided that the PUD would be the preferred vehicle to try to develop the property. We've submitted a PUD plan, which you have in front of you. We're proposing 158 lots on the 57.4 acres, which gives us a density of about 2.4 units per acre. Now, that 2.4 units per acre is much less than the A4A across the street and the A4 that is just down Harrison Avenue. As for the characteristics of our PUD, you'll notice that on our south, east, and west sides, we have maintained buffer areas. There's at least a 50-foot buffer on all sides of the property. On the north side of the property, along the river, we have left a large expanse of green space. We are hundreds of feet away from the river. That area will be maintained in perpetuity as green space. You'll also note that we have done our best to avoid the wetlands on the site, nearly avoiding all of them. Also, almost all of our lots are out of the flood hazard area. 31% of the green space on the site is being preserved, and again, under your PUD, that will be preserved in perpetuity. As you know, the PUD zoning requires that we have a variety of housing types. We have met that with garden homes, as well as a number of varying sizes single-family, but importantly, everything that we're proposing in this development is in fact single family. We're not proposing any duplex, any multifamily units whatsoever. As for our amenities, staff suggested that we add a half-court basketball court, and we have no objection to that, and we'll be glad to do that. We're also proposing a natural walking trail in the green space. That walking trail would extend down into the large green space area between the back of our lots and the river, to be able to access that and to be able to enjoy that area for pedestrian uses. We'll also have picnic tables and playground equipment. The PUD, as you know, requires central utilities, so we will be providing central utilities. However, we will not be having those facilities located on this property. While the cost is significant, we will be running utilities down Falconer Drive and tying into the existing facilities that are in place by Utilities, Inc. of Louisiana. So central utilities will be provided, but they will be treated off-site and will be nowhere near this particular property. So with that said, we would suggest that the underlying zoning we're proposing is less dense than is across the street, and then the PUD that is to our north, as well as the A4 developments to our east. The PUD plan has a relatively modest density of 2.4 units per acre, with large buffers and 31% of the property maintained in green space. Your staff made certain suggestions, which we are in agreement with, and as they have recommended approval, we would respectfully request the same from this commission this evening. I thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Mr. Marone. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of this? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Please approach the podium and state your name and address.
Phyllis Irvin, 108 Flowers Drive. Okay, one thing, this should really be tabled until after the holidays. I called numerous people. They're either coming back into town today or they're still out of town. This was really, really, I guess, good for them, time to have it. Okay, for 20 years I've been coming to meetings here since there was a police jury. We have the same issue now that we had 20 years ago. When you try to build something this dense on Harrison. In the late 90s, a survey was done. There was as much traffic on Harrison in a day as crossed the causeway. The only thing done to alleviate this in 20 years is Bogalusa built a Walmart. That's it. The parish keeps saying, we're going to build other cut-through streets to get to 190, to get to these other places. In 20 years, it still has not happened. He's talking another 158 homes, at least 2 cars per home. That's over 300 cars. 300. Then we have the flooding issue. This is on the river. You have already allowed Racetrack to put up to 40 feet of fill in the floodplain that had over 30 feet of water in it in 1995 when it flooded. They're going to come in and fill more right on the river. This is also a scenic river. What about the pollution and contamination from all the weed and feed and the fertilizer? Where does it stop? Until the parish actually puts in the infrastructure to handle the traffic, you just can't keep building things without doing anything to handle the traffic. And that's what's happening. We went through this with that Emerald whatever that's on the other side of Arrowwood, the garden homes in front of Ingram, and the solution to that was to make it not open onto Dog Pound. This is 3 entrances right past a curve on Harrison with over 300 cars going in and out daily. So I really would like for it to be tabled until more people can come and speak. I'm just the only one here to speak today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And if you haven't, please fill out a speaker's card for us.
I already have.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, Mr. Marone, would you care to rebut?
Thank you, Mr. Manella. A few comments. Certainly, I respect the nice lady's comments and her concerns. With regards to tabling the case, with all due respect, as you know, there is a significant lead-up time. We have been in the queue for quite some time. We have complied with the parish regulations with regards to our submittals. We have been in contact with the councilman. We would ask that the matter go forward. We believe that there is adequate information before you this evening for you to make a decision, and we would ask that you please do that. With regards to the density being too great, at 2.4 units per acre, our density is significantly less than most of the other properties in the area. So I would suggest that the density is not out of line in any way. With regards to the traffic, as you well know, we will need to deal with the traffic issue through a TIA at the planning stage. We are not yet at that point, but we recognize that we will have to address that and quantify the impact and demonstrate to you that, in fact, the roadways that we access for this development can handle the traffic that we'll be producing. As for flooding, if this development is built, we will actually be increasing floodplain storage, not decreasing it. In addition, we are not on the river. While the property abuts the river, we have taken great care, and if you will look at the plan, you will see that we have moved a very long way from that river to make sure that we are sensitive to it and that we are protective of it. So with that said, I would respectfully request that you move forward with this case tonight and that you concur with your staff and vote in favor of both the underlying zoning and our proposed PUD overlay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to rebut? Ma'am, any further comments? None? This time I would close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Casaban.
Yes. Paul, I was going to ask, when you say in the green, no build, is it going to be in a conservatory or deed restricted
It
in
will
the
be,
future?
there are a couple of layers of protection to make sure that it is not used for any purposes other than what we are proposing, which is green space and then a natural walking path. But one, that area down along there, some of it, a good bit of it, is wetlands, which we are not intending to permit through the Corps. In addition, being identified as green space on the PUD plan, any meaningful modification of that use would require that we come back before you and ask for your approval to do that, which would trigger another public hearing. And then finally, our restrictive covenants will identify it as green space and that it be used for that purpose.
Commissioner Dougherty.
Paul, on lots 132, 134, and 133, there's a real small green space there. What's going to be the intended use on that?
I'm sorry, Mr. Oh, between
32?
Yes.
134 and 133.
I believe that that is just open space and that it'll be a small pocket park and basically just open space.
could it be reconfigured so that there's a walking area, it'd be right on 132 more than likely to get to the active recreation area?
Yes, I believe that we could create a pedestrian path so that it did not encroach in those lots that would connect that small area with the larger green space.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Commissioner Matthews?
Yeah, Paul, the retention area, where is that water going to go? Is it going to sit there and evaporate, or is it going someplace?
Ultimately, I believe that the disposal is to the river. So it will collect in that pond, it will settle out, and then it will be metered from there, where it will likely flow overland to the river.
Okay. The latest concern of the chemicals, the yard chemicals and stuff like that, I'm concerned that that will all wind up in the retention area and ultimately into the river. What is the developer going to do to prevent that or limit that?
Well, there are a couple of points, and I'm looking to Mr. McHugh, but I believe that a scenic river permit will be required, most likely for this project, which will mean that we will have to demonstrate as a part of that process how we will be handling items such as that. I would expect that we would be addressing that, one, by using the pond as a settlement item, a settlement area. Also, overland flow will help leach out any of those contaminants before they actually reach the river system. So that is something that we will detail we'll have greater detail as we move through, and in particular at the preliminary stage, where we will detail exactly how the water will flow, how much it will flow, and at what rate it will flow.
And there will have to be a core permit for that?
Yes, there will have to be a core permit for at least a portion of that, because a portion of that pond will be in what is jurisdictional wetlands.
Okay. So we will be working to make sure that the chemical runoff from the lots, from the individual lots, will not wind up into the scenic river.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes, Paul. I agree with Commissioner Doherty about the lot number 132. You may even want to consider getting rid of that lot, to be honest. That would give you a little bit more active green space than that 1.68, which is extremely small in this area. Another question that I had was, you're putting asphalt streets and not concrete? Is there a reason for that?
No, I mean, I don't know exactly why the difference between the asphalt and the concrete.
That's what was in your PUD.
Yeah, I think
statement.
that is the plan, but I do not know exactly why that decision was made.
Okay, and for the area in the back, for the northern section, right up against the Abita River,
Yes.
how are we going to access the retention pond?
That's a good question. That was a point that staff had brought up as well. We are going to have to create access ways through those lots along there. We're going to have to create an access way for pedestrian, but also for maintenance vehicles.
Yeah,
So,
pedestrian, especially if you're building a trail back there.
correct. And we recognize that. Staff pointed that out too. We are agreeable to doing that, and we will reflect that access on the preliminary plan if we get to that point.
Okay. And one other question, the northerly section, where the retention area and all that vast green space is, you're saying you're never going to build on that, correct?
That's correct.
Well, why don't we just leave that A2 zone then? It'd still be part of the PUD and still, the same calculations would be based, so there's no reason to change that to A4 now.
I'm not sure. I think if you try to do that, I'm not sure. I think that would affect your density calculations, as well as a number of other dominoes that might.
So you wouldn't have enough density.
I think that's
to do that
correct. I think
because
it
of that
would-
large A.
That's
okay,
correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Willie?
Paul, I think follow up what Jimmy said, the access for the walking path is where, or it's just not designated yet?
It's not designated on here, but we
No, I
will.
can't see because of the black coloring on the map.
Yes,
So.
it will be. We will designate vehicular to be able to maintain the pond, but also pedestrian through that area on the tentative plat, preliminary plat. Excuse me.
Commissioner Casabon?
Paul, refresh my memory, traffic study, has one been done, or we do it at what point?
We will be doing the traffic study at the next phase of the process. I think earlier I mentioned that it would be done at the tentative phase, but with the change in your regulations, I'm reminded now that the next phase, next time you will see this, will actually be at preliminary, where you will have all of the hydrology and the traffic study presented at that time.
Which, if the traffic study affects the density, the number, is that where we change it?
That's correct.
Change the density?
If the traffic study requires a meaningful change in the density, then ultimately what that would do would bring me back to this body
Right.
to amend the PUD to get it in line to be in a position to move forward to preliminary.
Okay. And that's it. I'm going to make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve this, second by Commissioner Willie. To approve the first one. Correct,
Did-
they'll be separate. Commissioner Drum.
Paul? Here. Sorry. How y'all are? Sorry.
Yes, sir.
I was noticing on the drawing here that all the numbers are singular except 138 is highlighted, it's blocked in. What does that mean? That's it?
It's the last number,
Oh, okay.
so that you can easily tell how many lots we have.
Okay, my mistake, I'm sorry.
Good question.
Commissioner Richard.
It makes perfect sense. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Paul, I heard something, I want to make sure I get it correct in my mind. You mentioned the number of units and lots per units, and it was different than what I'm reading here, so I want to make sure we get on the record and it's clarified. It says 138 units, and I think you had a number that was a little higher. And it says 3.2 units per acre, and I think you said 2.4. So I want to make sure we know which is which.
That's correct. I think there is a typo in the staff report on the density. The number of lots is 138, but that amounts to a 2.4 units per acre density, and I think the staff report maybe reflected a 3.2.
So your 2.4 is
It's
actually
actually
less dense.
it's actually less than, yes, that's correct.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes, Paul, I see the developer's here, right?
Yes, one of the developers is here,
Okay,
yes.
so could they answer the question about the asphalt versus cement? Just curious.
No particular reason other than he's used to using asphalt.
Okay.
We have a motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve, a second by Commissioner Willie. Please be reminded, this is for case 2015-20-ZC, just the first one. Please vote. Motion carries. 2015-21-ZC, existing zoning A4 single-family residential district, proposed zoning A4 single-family residential district, PUD planned unit development overlay, the parcel 57.4 acres. Petitioner, Darling Design Homes, Inc., James Coate. The owner, Ruth Begay. Parcel's located on the north side of Harrison Avenue, east of Reed Lane, west of Flowers Drive, Ward 3, District 2. Staff has already given their report. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment further? Hearing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Casabon.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Casabon, a second by Commissioner Willie. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I would ask for a vote. Motion carries. 2015-26-ZC, existing zoning, A3 Suburban District, proposed zoning, PF1 Public Facilities District, the parcel 1.6 acres. Petitioner, Reverend Jose Roel Lunge. The owner, St. Genevieve's Roman Catholic Church. The parcel is located on the east side of St. Genevieve's Lane, north of Bayou Liberty Road, Ward 9, District 11. Staff?
The 2025 Future Land Use Plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses. Staff does not have any objections to the request, considering that there are some existing parcels of land zoned PF1 in the surrounding area, and that the objective of PF1 zoning is to provide for the location of governmental and institutional uses to the public. Staff recommends that the request for PF1 be approved.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here?
I'm Deacon Dan Haggerty, representing Father Roel Lunge.
And if you'd state your address, sir?
St. Genevieve, 58203 Highway 433, Slidell.
Thank you. Do you wish to advise as to why you would like this?
We have the property across the street, which is our parking lot and our office building. And on the other side of Thompson Road, we have our church. We have a very small footprint on that particular site. And we're looking to pick this piece of property up and use it for future growth, whether it would be a classroom or a meeting room or whatever other facility the parish would have need of.
Very good. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Please come to the podium, state your name and address.
My name is Alan Celestin, 34124 Robert Street. I don't know where he says there's gonna be, schools and all that. We didn't even know this was going on. There is a sign up there, but it's pushed back to the driveway. And everybody we asked, nobody knew the sign was out there. I had this put on my mailbox last night. That's the only reason I knew. But the way I understand it is they want to put a tower up there. And there's quite a few people don't want it. And I think you should table it till we get enough people to come in, because it's just right after the holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition? If you would, please approach the podium, state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Mark Milliken. I live at 58178 Penna Road, which is right across from the back half of this property on the southwest corner of my property. You know, it's my understanding here that they're wanting to put a cell phone tower up. I mean, that's walk out of my front door of the two properties I own, 5 acres there, and I'm a look at a cell phone tower. Not only the looks of it, you know, between the environmental hazards of it, the health hazards of it. I mean, it's. You know, I've never heard anything. I inquired about what was going on here. I was basically told that St. Genevieve had lost their battered women's shelter. Hey, that's what they want to put, that's fine. Somebody will have somewhere safe to go. But a cell phone tower, no, no. Not only is it going to depreciate property value in the area, it's going to be one heck of an eyesore, you know. And I'm getting ready to build another house on my property adjacent to this. You know, I'm gonna build a $275,000, $300,000 home. When you walk out the front door, you're looking at a cell phone tower?
Is that correct? Just for the record, sir, the zoning that they're requesting, PF1, would not accommodate a cell tower.
Can you define PF1?
Want to define
Commissioner-
PF1?
Commissioner Matthews is
I can
what
tell you
can go
exactly
on.
what is permitted in PF1. A post office, a funeral parlor, crematoriums, cemeteries, passenger terminals, churches, temples, synagogues, greater than 10,000 square feet, government offices, government-maintained facilities. And that is it.
Mr. Chairman, may I
Yes, ma'am.
clarify?
Yes.
If you go under section 8.01 of the Unified Development Code, and I'm pulling it up as we speak, it allows cell tower,
What is that in,
For
Helen?
PF1.
8.01A, like Apple, and like Nancy. And if you look at, towers may be allowed under the following zoning, and it says, it lists PF districts.
Okay, well, thank you for the clarification.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah,
So it can be.
it can be, well, I oppose it 100%, and so does a whole bunch of other people, because it's not only, like I said, I mean, it's going to be an eyesore to my 5 acres of property, and not to mention the health hazards. I mean, people with immunocompromised illnesses are at a higher risk of cancer due to carcinogen factors. You know, we have a lot of elderly people in the area. I mean, she's more medical terminology than I am, my wife.
Yeah, I'm an immunocompromised patient, and all this carcinogen being exhausted by the cell tower put me at a higher risk of more illness. And not just me, but all our neighbors are elders too that are at a higher risk of this facts of the cells throwing carcinogens and emitting all the dangers. It's danger for all around, health-wise.
I mean, this is going to be less than 1,000 feet from my front door, and, you know, my neighbor who's here tonight, it's going to be right next door to them, and then another neighbor is right next door to it, and then distant families on the other side of it. You know, I mean, it's a bad decision. There's plenty, people want to put a cell phone tower, and, you know, there's plenty open woods in the back of Bayou, Big Branch National Wildlife Refuge, where there's nothing back there. It's green space. I mean, we're dealing with a residential neighborhood here. So I'm against it 100% due to, A, health reasons, and property values, and one heck of an eyesore for me. When I open my front door, I'm going to be looking right at it. You know, I own 2 properties right there at the end of the road, you know. And
Sir, in all due respect, would you like to provide further information? You're reiterating everything you've stated. That's the notice. If you'd like to give it to staff, they're welcome to
well, this
provide it to us.
Excuse me, I'm just coming in from offshore, and this was what was given to me. And, you know, like I said, I inquired about this before, and as I stated, you know, it was, I guess you would say, hearsay or rumor that, you know, that St. Genevieve had lost their battered women's shelter, and I didn't say anything more about it. Hey, they'd have somewhere safe to go. And I'm not against that. But this here, no.
Thank you.
That's all the information I have at this time.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition? You have 3 minutes remaining.
How you doing? I'm Lou Scafidi. I live at 58167 Penna Road. I live on the adjacent property on the back side of the property where St. Genevieve wants to put the tower. I'm totally against the rezoning of this property, not only for property value, but they do have plans to put a cell tower there. And I also have a petition from several pages of petition from people in our close area that's totally against it also. It's a health hazard, it's health risk. I have a 9-year-old child that'll be underneath that thing 24 hours a day. We homeschool, so he's there all the time. So we just ask you to take this into consideration and not vote this commercial. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Stauder. I live at 111 Maryland Drive. I'll keep this brief. I just want to thank each and every one of you for letting me speak tonight. I've lived at my residence, 111 Maryland, for 10 years. My husband has lived there since he's been a child, and we are now raising our 2 children in the same home. We made a decision to settle our roots in this area because of the beautiful and historic scenery. It was brought to my attention tonight that St. Genevieve has purchased the lot and are trying to rezone it for unclear reasons at this time. I'm a member of St. Genevieve and strongly believe that St. Genevieve has plenty of commercial property available to them to pursue whatever they deem necessary. The property that St. Genevieve is requesting to be rezoned is on a residential road with beautiful historic land, houses, and scenic bywaters surrounding it. I do not feel it is fair to myself and the surrounding residents to have this area rezoned for possible commercial use. This property needs to stay residential so that it can continue to represent a piece of the surrounding beautiful historic scenery. I'm asking you to please vote against rezoning of this property so that this area can continue to represent a historic part of Slidell. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition?
My name is Arnie Broussard. I live at 58042 St. Genevieve Lane. I'm approximately 2 properties over from where the zoning change is going to take place. My main factor is the church has enough commercial property now. If you zone that commercial, then therefore my property value is going to drop. It's hurt already to some extent from them putting the church in the parking lot. I accept that fact. But for them to go further, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This time, we're going to move to rebuttal. If you care to come up and rebut, sir?
We're simply asking to have it rezoned PF1. We're not asking for the cell tower. We're not asking if there needs to be some type of a stipulation to come back. I think you all would have to have approval to do the tower anyway. So that's all we're asking for, is for use for the church, for our needs, classrooms or meeting office rooms.
I would ask for order. Pardon me. It's uncalled for. We do not speak out in the crowd. If you wish to speak during rebuttal, you're welcome to, sir. Is there anyone else as far as rebutting in favor? If not, I would open up the podium for anyone who would like to rebut in opposition. Sir, if you made a statement. If you'd like to come to the podium, make your statement.
Yeah, as he stated, my neighbor stated, you know, that they have numerous commercial properties. St. Genevieve still owns a school with classrooms, unattended, vacant, on Bayou Liberty Road. You know, why a classroom when they have it already? My rebuttal. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else before I close it to the public? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Marion Stauder, and I've been employed with St. Genevieve for about 20 years. I'm retired now. And I know all the employees at the church. And I asked one of them, I said, could you tell me what they're going to do with the property if they rezone it? They said, Marion, I have to tell you, we had a meeting and we were sworn to secrecy, not to tell anybody what was going on in the parish about the property. And we have grandchildren, and I live almost around the corner from it, and I do not want them to zone it commercial. It's a beautiful property. We got a historical home right next door, or maybe a block, no, maybe 2 lots away from there. We got a historical home. We got the scenic bayou. We do not need more commercial property. They got plenty property. They got it on, they got a school. They could use all the room there. I don't know how many acres and acres they got there. They don't need any commercial property. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, at this time, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, I think this is a question I have for council. I know we cannot rezone on conditions, but the only way I could see that I could vote for this to be rezoned, the PF1, would be if there was some kind of deed restriction. We can't put the deed restriction on it, but if they stated that this property would not be used for cell towers, is that an avenue that they could take in order for us to consider doing the commercial? That we deed restrict, it means that in the deed, there could not be a cell tower.
Well, you're right, Ms. Casabon. The commission is charged with determining whether or not the requested rezoning is appropriate for that particular piece of property at that particular location. Now, if the audience is expressing concerns about the potential uses that the zoning would allow, and when it does come back to the commission and commissioners likewise express their concerns on the potential uses that requested zoning would allow, and the applicant wants to take it upon themselves to volunteer a deed restriction that would prevent the development of certain types of uses on the property, should it be zoned as requested, that would be appropriate. It would not be appropriate for the commission to approve a zoning change with the condition that a deed restriction be placed on the property.
With that being said, I would not feel comfortable. I guess I would like to ask the petitioner a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have plans, or have you talked about putting a cell tower on this particular piece of property?
We have plans across the street behind the church to put a cell tower, not on this property.
Would it still affect the people that are in that particular area?
It
So
would be 300 to 500 yards away from the current petition on here.
we have seen, and I think everybody on this commission has always been very considerate of our churches, and when they want to expand and to build, I don't think we've ever had anything negative voted on here. But I hear the concerns. I think that there's been needs to be some communication between, it sounds like your parishioners and the community, that this is done. I would feel like if we voted for this is something that these people are very concerned about and that could take place. I just, at this time, I could not support this rezoning.
Okay, so we would have a meeting in the parish with parishioners and neighbors to
Well,
have
I feel like if
a vetting?
Community meeting?
a community meeting, that what your plans are. But if, am I correct, Helen, if they did want to put a cell tower on the spot that he's talking about, it's already a PF1, that he could do that?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Where you said you were going to consider putting a cell tower.
Where the church currently is, right along the
Is
side
that
of the bridge.
PF1?
I believe it is.
Or
I
is
didn't
that
check the
part of
zoning.
this rezoning?
I did not check the zoning on it. It's across the street along Bayou Liberty, next to the bridge. It would be concealed into the superstructure of the bridge, if we
So-
did it.
So you are, so this is what I'm talking about, is that, that you have property, or you making the people aware that y'all are considering putting a cell tower in a part of y'all's property that would allow for it right now?
To my knowledge, that's correct.
Okay. So this particular piece of property, are you building on it?
Which,
what-
the piece that is on the rezoning hearing or the piece where the church is?
Piece on the rezoning, that we're looking at just this.
The only plans for this property is to put classrooms and meeting rooms at this time. I don't know, this is not going to be an immediate development. We got the property because it behooves St. Genevieve to have those four corners. It may be 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 2 years before we try to develop anything there. We just want to zone it that gives us permission to do whatever it is that behooves that benefits St. Genevieve for its growth.
I understand that. I feel like, I mean, I'll listen to the rest of the commissioners, their opinion, but in my opinion, we are caught now between, if we rezone this, we're unaware, to me, you need to have some kind of meeting with the people of Bayou Liberty Road and so on, of your future plans, and including the cell tower wherever you do consider putting it. But if it is, I just feel like we're uncertain now if we rezone this, that it will be used for what you set up here. And that's my opinion. I'll listen to some more of my commissioners.
Commissioner Willie?
Yes, Helen, I guess I need to ask you this. Is there another possible zoning classification that would meet the needs of the church that would exclude the cell tower thing, that, a zoning class that, other than PF1, that would meet the needs that he's potentially proposing to do there?
If I'm not mistaken, the CB1 allows for churches, temples, and religious educational facilities, religious institution.
But it doesn't include cell towers.
Not to my knowledge, but I will pull it up again.
So that would be a possibility for you to consider, and it would satisfy the cell
And
tower
I'd be fine
threat,
with that.
so-
I'd be fine with that.
Commissioner Matthews?
I'm sorry, I was talking to council. Did you agree to put a deed restriction on the property? Is that what
Well,
you
no, I
heard?
think what she's looking at is there a rezoning
Okay.
that would allow us to
CB1.
put classrooms and meeting rooms that would not allow us to put cell towers.
Okay.
If there is such a classification, we would accept that.
Helen, have you found such a classification?
I was talking
Commissioner-
about CB1 just a
CB1
second
is what
ago,
you're
and then now I'm reading that towers may be allowed under NC5, NC6, PBC, HC, I zoning, MD, PF, ED, AT, and riverboat gaming. So it's not listed under CB1. So
Okay.
CB1 may be
CB1 would satisfy the needs of the petitioner, but as well as satisfy at least the vocal desires of the community not having a cell tower. Is that correct?
as long as it would fit under the particular uses listed here of church, religious education facility, religious institutions.
Helen, what are the setback requirements in CB1?
If they're
No
limited
structure
size.
can exceed 30,000 square feet, and no structure can be located within 200 feet of any residentially zoned property. So that could,
Wow, that's gonna,
That's gonna hurt you with 1.6 acres.
yeah, maybe not on the east and west side, however, on the north and south side. So they would have to request a variance if they have to be closer than 200 feet.
I'm not sure anybody knows what we want to do with this. I don't think the public knows. I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about what the church is planning to do or not planning to do. what the ramifications of cell towers are. I think this is probably one of those instances where a community meeting sponsored by the commission would be a big help to everybody to figure out what would benefit the church and what would benefit the public at large. And we can decide, is CB1 something that the church can use, or would it require such a very small footprint that they couldn't use it? So, I would like to see a community meeting.
Mr. Chairman, also there's the NC4, Neighborhood Institutional District, which allows churches, religious educational facility, and religious institution as well.
Up to what square footage, Joe?
The maximum square footage of the building, it could not exceed 12,500 square feet.
Pretty restrictive.
Only the NC5 and NC6, not the NC4.
So NC4. Mr. Haggerty?
If you have a zoning that allow us to build the buildings over there, either classrooms or meeting rooms on that property, and that would not allow us to do the tower, that would be acceptable.
An alternative also would be, if you would like, the commission can't request this, but you can, and what I'm hearing from you, or I believe what the commission is that you do not have an intention to put a cell tower. It's obvious that the public is very concerned that you would put a cell tower. Under the zoning requested as PF1, you as the petitioner could state that you would give a deed restriction, not placing a cell tower for the record, and then PF1 could go forward. It would be up to the commission, of course, but we can't place that restriction. Only the petitioner can. And if it's the intention of the church not to do that, you can place that, and then at such time of the deed, it would restrict the deed to exclude a cell tower. Correct. The other options, as Commissioner Willie and staff had pointed out, there are some other zonings, NC4 being one of those, that may meet your needs as far as classrooms with limited square footage that would prohibit cell towers.
Given that option, I would prefer the second, which would allow us to rezone it and let us put the classrooms and prohibit the tower by that rezoning. That would be the preferred option.
And according to staff, that would be an NC4 zoning. That's correct, Reagan?
That's what she said, yes.
CB1 or NC4?
Yes, NC4.
Let's get a classification. Commissioner Richard?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Deacon Dan, I think that's your
Point of
name.
order, please.
Deacon Dan?
I'm sorry?
Is that correct? I'm a little concerned that we would make such a decision, that you would make such a decision based on our interpretation of the zoning regulations without truly digesting it. And the reason I say that, there may be setback requirements, there may be square footage requirements that we agree to tonight by reclassifying it just to solve the cell phone tower issue that may handcuff you going forward. I think the recommendation of having a community meeting, if you can wait 30 days before
Sure.
this decision, would benefit everyone in the audience, as well as allow the staff, your people, to sit down and look at what you really want to do and come up with a solution that meets everybody's needs. I'm afraid that if we take action tonight, we may regret it in the future.
I'm fine with that. I'm trying to mitigate the concerns that the parishioners and their neighbors have. Okay? I'm trying to say, okay, I hear you. So, however, you all tell me to proceed. That's the way we'll proceed.
Can I have a motion to table this subject to, or postpone, excuse me, subject to a community meeting?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Richard to postpone until next meeting, to postpone until our next meeting with a community meeting, second by Commissioner Matthews. Is there any further discussion, Commissioner Casabon?
Yeah, I was just going to say, get together with the staff is what we're talking about, and you decide. I think we came up with a few options, but to make sure that's what you want, to zone it PF1 with the deed restriction, you would have to request, and the NC4, if it fits your, size
Yeah, we'll have
buildings
to get
and
that.
so on. And
Right.
also to communicate, with your neighbors.
Okay, so do I understand where we are now is that you all are going to have a hearing here?
Typically, the community meetings are held here.
Okay,
That is correct.
okay.
Commissioner Matthews?
Just that we need to have the community meeting set,
Yes, we have a date
A
set
date.
up.
a date, and what members of the commission will attend.
The date is, that is set up here is for December 15th at 6 p.m.
December 15th, 6 p.m. at this chamber. Which commissioners, we typically will have four?
Four.
Commissioners? Are any commissioners?
many as four.
As many as four. Any commissioners willing to participate?
I can't.
Commissioner Davis? Are there any others? At this time, Commissioner Davis can participate. Other commissioners, if you find your schedules permit, can do so. Staff will be present. The St. Genevieve will be represented, and the public is welcome. The objective here, as Commissioner Richard has pointed out, is to ensure that you get clarity. With staff there, they can advise you as to exact zonings and/or you can work with council and come up with deed restrictions. So when it comes back before this commission, it's very clear for both the church as well as the public is what the intention is.
Sure.
Okay? So
Thank
with
you.
that, we do have a motion by Commissioner Richard, second, to postpone until our next meeting with the community meeting. Please vote. The motion to postpone passes. Thank you. 2015-47-ZC, existing zoning A1 Suburban District. Proposed zoning A2 Suburban District.
Point of
Parcels-
order. Point of order.
Yes, sir.
I can be here that evening.
Thank you. Let the record show Commissioner Drum will also be present.
Mr.
for the
Chairman,
hearing.
council has pointed out to me that the new rules provide up to 5 commissioners can attend.
Thank you. Clarification. Give a moment for clearing the chamber. Just to clarify, on the previous case, we'll have Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Drum both are available for that, so they will be placed on it. And by our new rules for the zoning commission, we are permitted to place up to 5 commissioners in a public meeting or a community meeting, to provide information or provide facilitation. With that, let's proceed. Case 2015-47-ZC, existing zoning A1 Suburban District, proposed zoning A2 Suburban District, the parcel 4.28 acres, the petitioner Diane McDonald, the owner Gary and Diane McDonald. The parcel is located on the east side of Gottschalk Road, south of Breen Road, north of Ronald Reagan Highway, being 74438 Gottschalk Road, Covington, Ward 1, District 3. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses. Considering the rural character of the area and that the site is surrounded by A1 zoning, staff feels that there is no compelling reason to recommend approval of the request, and staff recommends denial.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? If you'd please come to the podium, state your name and address.
My name is Diane McDonald. I live at 74438 Gottschalk Road in Covington. My husband and I purchased that property in 1987, and we've lived there ever since. We've built a 2-story home in that property, and we also got a manufactured home, double wide, to put on that property. We did an act of immobilization on the double wide because we plan to use it as a retirement home. My daughter is currently living there. We're asking for an A2 zone so that we could sell the big home and move into the double wide. The ownership of the big home is a hardship on my husband and I. The maintenance on the interior and exterior, I've been having to pay somebody to help me because my husband is not physically capable of taking care of the property. Also, it is a financial burden on us as well, as he is disabled and, I'm sorry. In October, he was hospitalized septic with pneumonia, and the event caused him to have a heart attack, and he had to have a stent put in. So his condition has worsened a lot. We're not asking to change anything. Both the home and the double-wide trailer have been there since 2007. I have the active immobilization. We're not asking for any change. All we're asking for is to let us sell the majority of the property, which I have spoken with Mr. Ron, and he told me that I have to at least keep 1 acre for the mobile home, and we would sell the rest of the property with the house. When we first purchased this property, we purchased 2 tracts of land, which was 2.5 acres each tract, which gave us 5.10 acres. My next door neighbor only purchased 1 tract, and he begged us to sell him 0.92 acres, which gave him 60 feet road frontage. So at this point, we have, and we did sell it, so that leaves us 4.28 acres, and we have 310 feet of footage on the road, which Mr. Ron told me that I would need at least 150 for the mobile home, and the remainder would go to the large home. Both driveways are intact and within those boundaries, so nobody would be going in each other's property to get to their home. Everything has a separate well, separate sewage, separate everything. And so they're both independent of one another. And it's just my plea that you would let us to continue to live on the property that we've been at for all these years. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of this? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none at this time, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Willie?
Ms. McDonald, you looking to sell the home with how many acres? 1 acre or 3 acres?
No, either 3 or 3.28 acres.
Okay.
We
And
would
you're looking to
be
leave the
willing.
mobile home on 1 acre?
Correct.
Question to staff. Would she have to rezone the whole parcel? Could she just rezone that 1 acre and just leave the other one? She could sell that, could she sell that as A1? Or she'd have to?
Well, I'm trying to determine the street frontage under A1A. I think the reason why she's requesting that is because of the minimum lot width under.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, under A1A, the minimum lot width is 200 feet. So that will cause an issue.
So she couldn't do it A1A or leave it A1?
No,
I move for approval.
A motion by Commissioner Willie to approve, a second by Commissioner Casabon. Commissioner Davis?
Yes, staff, question for staff. A3 is just above, is just north of her, is that correct? I think there's a misprint. You have north direction is A1, but looking at the map, it clearly says A3.
Yeah, it appears to be A3, that's correct.
Well, then I third the motion.
Commissioner
Thank you so
Richard?
much.
Helen, I've got a quick question. It sounds like we've got a manufactured home on that property. When we rezone it, do we need to put the overlay as well? because it's already there?
It's already existing.
Okay.
They did not request a manufactured overlay, so.
I just want to, if we're gonna make these changes, we might as well make everything in compliance.
We did get a permit.
This is just something
Right,
that's.
from a zoning perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good, okay.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions or comments of the commission? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Willie to approve, a second by Commissioner Casabon. Please vote. And a third. Motion is approved. 2015-53-ZC, existing zoning, A4 Single-Family Residential District, proposed zoning, A4 Single-Family Residential District, manufactured housing overlay. The parcel, .83 acres. The petitioner, Anquinel Schneider. The owner, Norma Johnson. The parcel is located at the end of Batiste Street, east of Pugh Road, Ward 4, District 7. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses, including manufactured homes. Staff does not have any objections to the request and recommends approval.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Yes, sir. If you'd please come to the podium, state your name, sir, and address.
How y'all doing? My name is Colby Schneider. My current address is 28634 Berry Tide Road. I'm coming to represent my wife, Anquinel Schneider, and we're just trying to put a home there, a manufactured home right now. I think there's a PUD north of the property. There's a huge fence, so it's not like they could see anything over there. There's like several other manufactured homes, like in the immediate vicinity, so I don't see why there shouldn't be any concern.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, second by Commissioner Matthews. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in, please vote. Hospital stuff. Motion carries. 2015-54-ZC, existing zoning, A1A Suburban District, proposed zoning, A2 Suburban District. The parcel, 3.36 acres. Petitioner, Deidre McMurray. The owner, Clarence R. Dutrich. Thank you. Parcel is located on the west side of Louisiana Highway 40, north of Woodland Drive, south of Sturmer Road, being 20857 Highway 40 Bush, Ward 2, District 6. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential and agricultural uses. Considering the rural nature of the area and then the site is surrounded by A1A zoning, staff feel that there's no compelling reason to recommend approval and would like to recommend denial of this request.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Please state your name and address.
My name's Deidre McMurray. I currently live at 221 Bonton Relay in Mandeville. We are, this property, I have power of attorney for my dad. This belongs to my father, who's 93. And he has owned this land for well over 50 years, and his family before him. But he has sold everything except 3.36 acres, which he currently lives on. But he wishes to remain in his home. So we need 24-hour care. And in order to do that, we need to sell a piece of this land. So Mr. Charlie Long, who currently owns 3.5 acres that just behind my dad, would like to buy 1.9 acres of this. That would leave my father with a piece that's approximately 1.3 acres. There's currently the way, and we've had this surveyed, and there are 2 barns, so each piece of land would have a barn on it. There's lots of open area. My dad has had lots of gardens on both of these pieces. So there are currently 3 parcels that are less than 2 acres directly across the street. But after speaking to Helen today, I understand those 3 were grandfathered in just before the 2010 changes. So it wouldn't be an unusual thing to have less than 2 acres in that general vicinity. So we're requesting your approval.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of this? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition?
We have one in favor.
You wish to speak in favor, sir?
My name's Charles Long. I live at 16532 MP Planche Road. And as Ms. Deidre said, I own the property. I already bought the 3.5 acres from her dad 12 years ago. My wife and I live on MP Planche Road, and as you remember, a couple of months ago, we came in and they're doing the re-subdividing and putting the subdivision back there. We'd like to purchase a property so when that gets crowded, we can move a little further north, because like I said, it's right up against the property that we have now. So I'm in favor for it. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Anyone in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, this is, this fits into the area. I think it's a solution all the way around for a lot of people involved in this, and we've all been there. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve, second by Commissioner Willie. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion carries. 2015-56-ZC, existing zoning, A3 Suburban District. Proposed zoning, NC1 Professional Office District. The parcel, 1.3 acres. The petitioner, Jeffrey D. Shane. The owner, Grandland Covington LLC, William G. Grand. The parcel is located on the southeast corner of Louisiana Highway 1085 and Holly Street, being Lot 1, Square 2, Evergreen Acres, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses. Staff feels that there is no compelling reason to recommend approval of the request, considering that the site is surrounded by residential uses. Staff recommends denial of the request.
Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jeff Shane. I'm with the Jones Fussell Law Firm at P.O. Box 1810 in Covington, and I represent Grandland Covington LLC, which is the owner and applicant in this case. I have with me this evening Dr. Brad Grand sitting on the front row to my left with his father Doug that works with him, and also many of the employees that work with Dr. Grand. We appreciate the opportunity to be with you this evening to discuss the proposed change of zoning of this property from A3 single-family residential to NC1. I think I would like to start by referring to some things that I have put in a letter that's been handed to you this evening. In particular, I would appreciate you looking at the NC1 zoning classification, which is attached, of course, to my letter. And in pertinent part, I would like to just bring up some highlights as to what this change of zoning would allow and effectuate. My client is a dentist and obviously would like to have the opportunity to build a dental facility at this location. The purpose of NC1 Professional is as follows, and I quote, "The purpose of this district is to provide for the location of small professional office in close proximity to residential development in order to provide small-scale services to the residents of the neighborhood with minimal impact." With that purpose and this particular zone, my client purchased 1.3 acres on the south side of Highway 1085 at its intersection with Holly. The current zoning of A3 allows a density of 2 units per acre, and the property has approximately 57,000 square feet, which supports at least 2 and very close to 3 residential units if it in fact were developed in that fashion. Obviously, all 3 of those lots or units would front on Highway 1085 and presumably have curb cuts with driveways, mailboxes, etc. My client's proposed plan of development includes 1 structure on the 1.31 acres of approximately 4,700 square feet, which would of course be a dental office, with a parking area that would be set considerably from 1085 and which would have a sole access onto Holly Street or the street to the west, which would require those coming to the premises to turn off of 1085 onto Holly Street, but likewise have at least some form of control, if you will, using Holly as opposed to a driveway or multiple driveways onto 1085. My client has offices at present, 2 in Mandeville and 1 under construction in Baton Rouge. And as you can see as an attachment to my letter, and also as can be seen on the photographs that I brought this evening, my client's business office at the corner of Sharp Road and 3rd Street, and I'm going to turn these so that the public can see them as well. And if they can't see them well now, I'll raise them later because I realize they're on the ground. I didn't want to set up an easel and obscure their vision or yours. But my point is that my client has, for 10 years, has had an office at the corner of 3rd and Sharp Street in a residential area. It was an interesting zoning case that I handled for Dr. Grand when he first began his practice and came to the area. And there were many residents who were very concerned about the introduction of a dental office in such close proximity to their homes. How would it change their environment? How would it impact their values? How would the traffic patterns change? What risk would be associated with having a dental office? Included in the packet you will see are letters from the vice president and president of the literally next door Century Oaks Homeowners Association that I think speak for themselves, but I will summarize it in saying that their testimony says we had grave reservations on the front end, but Dr. Grand did and continues to do everything he promised in terms of the type of facility he built, which I think is shown on the visuals, to look like a residence. It's maintained like a residence. And in fact, again, their letters reflect that they believe it's not only a good neighbor, but it's a great neighbor. They have not had problems. And in fact, I think give a glowing recommendation as it relates to the compatibility of a dental facility in a residential environment. It's interesting, I think, that with this case this evening, I have a client who is a resident and in fact a professional who does business, who employs 10 or 12 people at various offices in the Mandeville area that has a track record. And so at least we have the benefit of knowing what Dr. Grand has done in the past, and hopefully that would suggest that what we hope to do with regard to this site would in fact become reality. But let's talk about a worst-case scenario. What does NC1 allow? It only allows 1 structure on the lot not to exceed 5,000 square feet, which in this day and age is a nice size home, but not the largest home that any of us have ever seen. And it is limited in terms of use to what I will just say are professional offices only. There's a list of offices that you can see, but the idea is it's not going to be retail. It's not going to be, in my view, commercial in the classic sense. There's no goods being sold there. There's no food. There's no liquor being consumed. There's not mass people coming in and out, if you will. Most of you can relate to the experience you have with your dentist at your dental office as it relates to how many people might be there at any one time. how many cars you actually see passing you as you go in or out of the parking lot. We expect to start this off as a one-man show, if you will, in that particular location to see how the business will grow. Why would Dr. Grand want to put a dental office in this location? It's because over the last 10 to 15 years, the 1085, Highway 21, and 1077 corridors have developed with some of the nicest and finest subdivisions that we have in western St. Tammany Parish. And as the purpose of NC1 states, it's his belief that bringing his service, his professional service, to the people certainly will be a benefit to him as a business person, but also will be a benefit to the people that live in that area. It's the same experience that he's had at the corner of Sharp and Third. So for that reason, we obviously seek the zoning tonight and hope that you will consider making that recommendation. I think it's also interesting for you to know that as I have done as long as the Association of Associations has been in existence, when I have a case in that area of District 1, I let the representative know, and they invite me to their meeting, and I attended the AOA meeting at Christwood on November 12th. I would report to you that there was probably 12 or so people there, maybe 15, and we presented our case, had a great discussion, and I came away from that meeting with the impression that those that were there that heard our presentation were very pleased with what we were doing. I have not received any calls or comments or emails since that time, and I know that Ms. Slifer, the president of AOA, is here this evening, and if she elects to speak, she will do so at that time and tell you what the AOA heard and how they feel about this. But at the end of the day, I think that the issue that you will hear from the good residents that are here tonight that will speak about this case is that I do not believe that this is a case about spot or commercial zoning in a residential area. I believe that this is a case where there is something other than residential, but because of the limit as to the use and the scale can fit, and in fact, it is designed to fit into residential areas. We don't necessarily want people to have to travel to commercial hotspots to receive certain types of professional services. I'm not going to suggest that the shoe would always fit in every instance at every location, because I don't think that would necessarily be true. But I can tell you that if you look at the development of 1085 in particular, and if you look at some of the transformation along 1085 through the years, I don't believe there's anything to suggest that a 4,700 square foot dental office with an access on a side street that's open on Monday to Friday from 8 to 5 won't fit and be a good and compatible neighbor. For those reasons, I respectfully suggest that there is good, compelling reason for you to recommend a change of zoning from A3 to NC1. At the appropriate time, I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have. And thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Shane. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor? Sandra?
Sandra Slifer, and I'm here representing the AOA that, as Mr. Shane stated, he did come to the AOA meeting and presented the project to us. He answered all of our questions, as is our custom, that after the presentation is over, and all of the other presentations are over, the people who attend the meeting then talk about it amongst themselves and come to a consensus regarding whether or not we will support the project, oppose the project, or ask for changes, delays, whatever it may be the case. The people who attended the meeting did vote to support this project, for some of the same reasons that Mr. Shane indicated, that the NC1 zoning is designed to fit in with residential development. The access is on a side road as opposed to being directly on 1085. It didn't seem like a likely place to put two houses. with their corresponding driveways, that after the meeting, there is some opposition to the case, that after consulting with Marty Dean, the council person for this area, that basically he said, well, do what you did. I think you need to stand up and say what you did at the meeting based on the presentation that was made. So, with all great respect for the people who are here opposing it, there'll be another case, and I'm sure we'll work together on that. On this one, we will, have to disagree. So, we think that it's a compatible use for this area. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Please, gentlemen here, come state your name and address.
I'm only one of a bunch. And so my name is Don Lobb. I live at 71066 Cedar Drive in Covington. It's a couple of blocks away from where this is going to happen. And it's amazing to me that he already bought it. I just can't fathom that. In other words, he bought it not knowing what you guys are going to do. I just can't fathom that. The folks that were there were only two that were from the area, and they're going to get up and speak in a few minutes. They were misconstrued. Trust me, okay? I'm a very truthful person. This is going from A3 Suburban to a NC1, which could include a veterinary clinic. Let's just suppose he decides not to do it. It's his prerogative then to put a veterinary clinic. And we talk about the parking lot. Yeah, the parking lot will be probably on 1085. I'm not sure, but then the entrance may be on Holly, but that's still, a commercial entrance into this deal. Let's face it, it's commercial. Any kind of misconstruing that is not logical to me. It's a commercial facility. It may look snazzy and all that, but that's a commercial facility. It's a bad fit. The quality in the area is going to change. I'm fighting for where I bought my property there. It's paradise to me. And I know you hear case after case here. These people are pleading with you. We want to keep our same environment. We like where we live. It must be tough on you guys. I don't know if y'all have been down 1085. I know Pug has. And if you've driven between Oshner Boulevard and 1077 on 1085, you see it's really a cool place. It's really a beautifully residential, fantastic homes along there. Let's see, regroup myself and say, one of the things too, I'm pretty sure you recognize this, that this is purchased as a residential, in a residential area. Got to be cheaper. There's a doctor's office less than a half a mile away in Terabella, and a mile and a half away, there are 4 of them. I'll go to one. There are 2 of them there that I'll go into. So the doctor facility is a bad answer, okay, as far as, needing to have a dentist office there. I like the word that the Planning Commission said about compelling. To me, that's really a very heavy word, because when you talk about compelling, there's no compelling reason for this to be there. 0. It means he's going to make money. It's going to affect the people in our environment. So there's a whole bunch of us who would like to speak, and I've said enough. Anyway, just out of curiosity, how many here are opposed to this? So you see the area, there were only 2 there, and they're going to talk here in a few minutes, and they're going to see how they were misconstrued. So anyway, appreciate y'all giving some thought to our side of it.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, please state your name and address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Todd Marchand. My address is 15051 Pine Street. However, my address is on Pine Street. My house is also on the corner of Pine and Holly. I'm 2 doors down from this property. I don't doubt that he's a good dentist. I don't doubt he's building a beautiful building at this location. However, that's not the main issue here. NC1 says close proximity. There's plenty of commercial property in the area, close proximity, that is available for commercial use. It's already zoned commercial. You have Pinnacle, Oshner Boulevard, there are buildings there, there's land there. Highway 1085, east of the traffic circle at Oshner. There's actually a big old sign, and it's property for sale. Why not buy commercial property if you want to put a commercial building? Why buy residential? If you decide to change this to commercial, bootlegger will probably look like Highway 21 in a few years. Don't need that. This property is part of Evergreen Acres. We have covenant restrictions. So they would have to change our covenant restrictions. That is why I bought my property in Evergreen Acres. If you allow a change here, why couldn't you allow a change property next to it and the property right down the street from it and the property next to that? Evergreen Acres has property that is in Evergreen Acres, also has frontage on Oshner Boulevard. So if you change this to commercial, then all this traffic will be coming through our neighborhood. Wouldn't be the same. One of the big concerns is increased traffic without infrastructure improvements. Infrastructure improvements are very costly, and it takes a long time to get them done. An example of that is on 1085 and 1077. Look at how bad that traffic is on a weekday evening when you have Hannon High School, the McDonald's, Shell gas station, Budweiser, Diversified Foods, the FedEx terminal, all of that stuff with that one intersection. It blocks it up. Sometimes it'll take you 20 minutes to get through that intersection. Think about that when a fire truck needs to get through or an ambulance needs to get through. Do we need to increase traffic on 1085? I don't think so. Drainage, that intersection right there, right across the street from Holly Drive, there's a big ditch which drains a lot of the water during heavy rains from Evergreen Acres under 1085 into a big ditch on the north side of 1085. By filling it in with a house and a parking lot, as opposed to just a house and a driveway, will affect drainage also. One of the biggest and grave concerns I have, I've lived at my residence for 9 months. Since then, I have witnessed and heard 2 crashes at that intersection. It was involving 2 of my neighbors, serious crashes with injuries, which I had to run out there in my shorts and T-shirts and go help. We don't need more traffic pulling in and out, in and out, in and out all day long. The AOA, I've never heard of an AOA until tonight. I've lived in St. Tammany Parish for a long time. I don't know who they invited to that meeting, but it wasn't anyone in our neighborhood, except for maybe 1 or 2. And without proper road changes, with traffic controls, it increases public safety. The chances of doing harm drastically jumps up. So I just ask you, I plead with you, do not allow this change. If you wanted to build something commercial, go find a commercial piece of property nearby. There's plenty of it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition? And you have 2.5 minutes remaining for opposition.
My name is Karen Key, and I live at 71122 Holly Drive. My husband's family has owned property in the subdivision since 1972. We've watched it develop and houses being built. We have a PUD on the west side of us that people come to our neighborhood to ride their bikes, to walk their dogs, women with strollers. And Mr. Marcia had mentioned an accident, which I witnessed one of them that he responded to, is that Holly Drive is on an incline. And when you're turning into that, if people are pulled up at the stop sign, sometimes they have to back up in order for the people to complete the turn into the drive. So if they're putting access to this dentist office on Holly, traffic is going to back up on Holly. People are going to turn short. Well, they're going to be turning into people waiting to get out on Holly. In the mornings, there's 3 or 4 people lining up to get out on Holly, and people actually come from the other neighborhood on Shady Lake and on South Magnolia to turn onto Holly to go up because it's not in front of another subdivision. So it's not feasible to put an entrance, if y'all approve this, to be on Holly. because we don't have the road designed for it. People are turning short into the road, creating a divot in the road where people bottom out their cars, so we don't need anything else on this. And being in this neighborhood and being a quiet neighborhood, we like to see the people walk, and they do walk all the way up Holly to 1085, turn around and come back with children on bicycles and strollers and all in the neighborhood. So I am opposed to this.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, sir.
Just a couple of quick comments. My name is Bill Smith. I live at 71205 Whiskey Oaks Lane, which is right off 1085 near 1077. I was at that AOA meeting. We had discussions. I stated that I'm not in favor of the commercial zoning only because of the commercial creep that happens when you have commercial zoning. If you notice the next item on your agenda, you have an NC1 professional office district being proposed to be rezoned to HC2 highway commercial. That's what we're afraid of in this area, and that's what we don't need. It's not 100% opposition to a dental clinic, but it's commercial. It is commercial. We're opposed to commercial on 1085. I've been to these meetings, I don't know, 20, 30 times through the years, and I've always been opposed to it. I was told by Floyd Glass 25 years ago, 15 years ago, whenever he was there, for as long as he was there, that there wouldn't be any commercial on 1085 beyond the intersection where the church is. And
Excuse me 1 minute, sir. I think the time has expired.
Okay, I won't take any more time, but I just...
Hold on, don't go anywhere.
Okay.
I'm going to make a motion to extend the time, Mr. Chairman.
How long would you like it? 5 more minutes?
5 more minutes, please.
Anyway, that's
Okay,
basically all I have to say.
One second, sir. Hold on.
We gotta
This
vote.
is in your interest.
We got to vote.
We have a motion by Commissioner Matthews, a second by Commissioner Davis, to extend your time by 5 minutes, but also will provide that time for rebuttal as well for the petitioner. Any further comments? I would ask for a vote. Motion carries. Please proceed.
Thank you. But that's basically all I have. I just don't think we should have any more commercial there. There's enough commercial already available. There's a lot of commercial land in the area that's available. He could buy a piece of that and build his dental practice there. Wouldn't make any difference in the amount of business that he would get or where he would get it from. It's just the wrong place. Shouldn't be commercial. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Who else would like to speak? Gentlemen? And I respectfully would ask, we've granted an additional 5 minutes. If you have something different to say, or just if you're in opposition, please let us know that.
I'm in opposition. My name is Mark Cortez. I live on 1085. In Terrabella, they're going to build a dental clinic, which is what, less than a quarter mile away? It's already there? And another thing is, one thing I found that they didn't present to the council is him being a dentist, has he made contact with the other dental office that's required by the Louisiana Dental Board? Now that has been presented to this board, which is interesting because this is supposed to be a professional business. And that's my interest, is that it's going to be right next to another dental office, which they're supposed to get approval from Louisiana Dental Board. That's all I have to add.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. My name's Clay Lane. I live at
Please,
15036 Pine Street.
If you would restate that at the podium.
My name is Clay Lane. I live at 15036 Pine Street on the corner of Pine and Holly, 1 block away from this proposed dental office. It's a very pretty picture. It is very nice. I'm impressed. And I'm deeply...
All due respect, sir, if you would
I
address the
appreciate his
commission.
concern for us to have a dentist office near our house, but Dr. St. Pierre does fine for me. There are 30 acres outlining Evergreen subdivision, empty, basically empty. Now, whether people don't want to build houses there, I probably wouldn't want to build a house on Bootlegger Road, but there's a brand-new one going up on the corner of Cedar and Bootlegger. Mrs. Cook owns 25 acres adjacent to the apartments on Oshner Boulevard, all vacant, 25 acres. If this proposal goes through, she's 91 years old, and her 3 kids will sell that in a heartbeat for as much money as they can possibly get. There's nothing wrong with that, and I understand it. I would do the same, probably. But if you open up a can of worms and put one office there, those whole 30 acres will be commercial. And that's prime real estate. I bought 27 years ago there, hoping my little nest egg. People used to say, boy, you live in the boondocks. There was nothing on 21, not even a gas station. Well, now people come to say, dadgum, you live in Metairie. So I appreciate you wanting to build an office there, and it's very nice. But who's to say the next one or the next one or the next one, and they'll all get approved. You know they'll all get approved eventually. So hopefully, we can stay green on Bootlegger. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition? Yes, sir. It's okay.
My name is Fernand Berg. I've lived 71085 Holly Drive. I've lived there for over 30 years, so I've seen a lot of changes on Bootlegger or 1085. And all I'm trying to say is I'd like to keep that area as nice as we can, residential. What I'd like to say also, to let everybody know, they're calling it Holly Street, the street. It's Holly Drive. And the people that live on it and around it are proud of it. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have time for one more person. If anyone else would, yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Cynthia Durr. My grandfather bought property on Holly Drive in the 60s. He built the first home out there. So I guess my family has been out there the longest. This gentleman called me about a month ago in relation to some property that I do have for sale. He questioned whether there was any businesses in that area. I let him know that it was residential only, that, you know, there had been a fellow who had a gravel company out there in the 80s that had gravel trucks in and out. There was never any type of business that had customers in and out, that was not the type of neighborhood that we had. So he knew that. I mean, he got that information from me. I provided him with that information. So whether he bought that property after he spoke to me or before he spoke to me, but I did give him that information up front. My address is 71084 Holly Drive. I own the end of Holly Drive and around onto Magnolia Loop. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. This time we're going to go to rebuttal. Mr. Shane, you will be provided 11 minutes if you choose in rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to address some of the particular comments that have been made, then I'll close with some general comments. I would only suggest that Ms. Slifer, as president of AOA, has, I think, reported to you what was discussed and decided at the AOA meeting. I think the more important thing, though, is that the AOA is, and the people in that region, are the ones that created a custom, if you will, for developers and their attorneys to go to them to give them a preview of what zoning cases we would have in that area. I'm not suggesting that anyone has to like the music that I'm playing, but the suggestion that everybody wasn't there or somebody doesn't like what I said that night or tonight, my point is that we tried to be transparent. I did what I've consistently done my entire professional career, and that is to present a case to the residents And I found it interesting that a lot of the people that are here tonight that I have dealt with many times over the years, over many cases, I suspect they know where I am and how to get in touch with me, and I wish I would have heard from them, because I would have been glad to give them information and exchange ideas. Obviously, a lot of the comments tonight I hear for the first time. I think it is a misnomer to suggest that this case creates or injects commercial zoning into the area. If you look at NC1, please look at the title or the caption. It is a professional office district. If you want to look at the commercial districts, the HC districts, take a look at the label, the title, and the uses. They are highway commercial. Now, as a matter of history, I hope that all of you know that 1085 was a Louisiana state highway, and at one time a very valuable east-west connector in the state highway system. I would guess that about 8 to 10 years ago, and I may stand corrected as to the exact date, that road was turned over to the parish, and it is now a parish road. But the point is that it still serves a vital function as a major connector. That's not my way of suggesting that there should be commercial on 1085. But it is my way of suggesting that I think there can be a place for professional office district. What's different about 1085 today as opposed to, let's say, 10 years ago? I've been responsible for some of the change, not all of it. My guess is some of these fine people that are here this evening live in developments that I presented and got approved before this commission. We have seen not only residential growth in that corridor, but we have seen other types of uses that, in my view, have been successfully integrated. Some by name would be Camp Bow Wow, Covenant Christian Church, a fire station. And it's interesting that to the east of this property, we have what I believe to be one of the more vital connections in western St. Tammany Parish, and that is Oshner Boulevard, that in fact has a roundabout. And that roundabout was placed there not only to handle the residential traffic that flows through that area, but to also facilitate the travel to and from needed services that people might need in that area. The suggestion that a 4,700 square foot dental office on 1.31 acres opens Pandora's box to commercial zoning up and down 1085, these good people may not know it. I've appeared before you in the council too many times to know precedents aren't created or set. You take great amount of time to study cases, and the council does as well. And each case typically stands on its own merit. Certainly you refer often, petitioners do, to other cases in the area, other developments that might be like kind. But to suggest that one decision is going to change, radically change the character of the area, I don't believe that to be the case. Now let's talk about, though, the impacts. We've heard about traffic, we've heard about drainage, and we've heard about safety. With regard to drainage, this project, like every project in the parish, you're going to have to submit a fill plan, a drainage plan, and show the disposal of water. Those are absolute requirements before you get a building permit, and you have to meet every requirement that St. Tammany Parish has. So in my view, that concern is off the board in that you know and the people should know that it's going to have to be satisfied. With regard to traffic, I believe it's a subjective discussion. I can only tell you that you have to evaluate the possibility of, at least if we buy another 3,000 to 4,000 square feet on the east side of this track, we will have the ability to put in 3 single-family residential units based on the current zoning. You have to evaluate the impact of 3 driveway cuts within relatively close proximity on 1085 as a matter of safety and also as a matter of density or the amount of vehicles. I would suggest to you most of our homes today, at least the families that I'm around, we're all 2 to 3 car families. Not in every case, but in many cases. So my point is that I think it's unfair to suggest that a 4,700 square foot dental office, 8 to 5, that's going to have a limited number of employees, a limited number of patients at any one time, is going to create a traffic or safety nightmare. It's simply not the case. And you know what? If it was the case, do you think the president and vice president of Century Oaks Homeowners Association, why would they stick their nose in this and write a letter suggesting what their history has been with Dr. Grand's facility? I think it's very simple, and that is because it has been a low or minimal impact facility. And again, if we look at the purpose of NC1, what does it talk about? It talks about small professional office in close proximity to residential development in order to provide small-scale services to the residents of the neighborhood with minimal impact. I believe reasonable people would have to agree that the impacts suggested by this project are minimal. I don't believe that Dr. Grand's purchase of the land is suggestive that he knew that we would be able to get the zoning changed. In America, we all have the right to do and venture as we wish. Dr. Grand is a businessman. Yes, he hopes to have a dental office at that location. Yes, he's purchased a piece of land. I think you know, at least as a commission, that does not factor into whether or not the proposed zoning change is in fact compatible and whether or not there is compelling reason to do so. The fact that there may be another dental office or offices in the general area, again, has no bearing as to whether or not this particular parcel might be appropriate for an NC1 zoning classification. And with regard to notifications to the dental board and permissions, I can only tell you, I don't know those details, I don't know those requirements, but I'll give you one pledge. Whatever laws of the federal, state, or local government require for this man to operate a dental office at that location, we will do everything we can within our power to comply with those laws. The fact that there's a competitor down the street, this is the United States of America. We depend on people having opportunities to develop businesses. You know, Dr. Grand has a family as well. Granted, they don't live in the same neighborhood of those that have spoken to you this evening, but they are with him this evening. Whereas Dr. Grand has people that live in St. Tammany Parish that work for him. And they likewise are interested to have opportunities to work at this office location, perhaps eventually live in subdivisions in that corridor, and be part of the good, healthy community that we find along Highway 1085. In closing, I would simply like to say this. Beauty is always in the eyes of the beholder. I fully understand, recognize, and respect the comments made by the residents this evening. I may not agree with them, but I understand them. And I understand people's concern that sometimes a case such as this could turn into something much worse than anyone could imagine. I would only tell you that at the end of the day, I ask you to look at the NC1 zoning ordinance and look at the project that we have proposed, the track record that my client has established for 10 years in Mandeville at 3rd and Sharp Street, and ask you, have we not made a case that there is compelling reason to change this zoning to NC1? And in fact, a 4,700 square foot dental office can be compatible to the adjoining residential area, particularly where it fronts on Highway 1085. Last but not least, do we really think it's practical that this tract would be subdivided into 2 or 3 parcels and that people would build homes fronting on Highway 1085? I'm not suggesting it's impossible. I'm a native. I know what's happened to all of the highways and roads in our area. And I can only tell you that what many of us would have done 20 and 30 years ago with regard to home location, A lot of that's changed. And it's because these are significant residential corridors that move people up and down the highway all day long. I think that is another reason that you need to think about I'm sorry. Did the buzzer go off?
Yeah, but
I didn't
please
mean to
close.
infringe.
No.
I would just simply say this. I think it's also fair to ask you, is A3 an appropriate zone for this property in light of current conditions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We're going to have 5 minutes of rebuttal, but I would like to take a point of information for those who brought it up. The Association of Associations is we find as a commission an informative organization that represents both for and against many of the cases that come before us, particularly or exclusively on the western side of the parish. But they are held in high regard by the commission, either for or against, and have been always very transparent. Many of the developers, as well as the attorneys, do go in front of them because they tend to be vocal and represent to the best degree the public in their forum. But just as a point of information, in their behalf, the Association of Associations is a very well-respected organization in the western part of the parish. With that, I would ask anyone who would like to come forward for 5 minutes of rebuttal. Mr. Shane was afforded 11 minutes because of the extension. Whomever would like, yes, sir.
27 years ago, I bought my 3 acres in Evergreen because it was a subdivision. And it had to have at least 1 acre per house. A 4,700 square feet dentist office is twice the size of any house in that subdivision. There are no houses that large, plus parking lot. Undoubtedly, all the trees will be coming down, but they'll plant new ones. But what I was going to say is, I was in the roofing business for 34 years, and I never once brought up my business to my house. It would have been nice to build me a nice big workshop, you know, and make it look nice, plant trees and everything else. But it was at the end of the day, it's a subdivision. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Don Lobb again. AOA, Rick Wilkie, you perhaps remember, was in charge of the AOA in the past. Pug knows him well. Anyway, he bowed out of the area and moved out of the area, and so Sandra is here now. And I care for Sandra, but she dropped the ball pretty good on us because we really were not informed. Rick used to do a great job of making sure we all were in tune with that. It ain't the same, and so it's a big factor. Again, this could be a veterinarian clinic. This could be, as you listed down there on this changing zoning. And Jeff told me something one time. He and I have been battling for years, and I tremendously respect him. He's an eloquent, brilliant guy, and respect him. He told me one time, he said, developers and folks will push it to the limit. It's up to the people in the area to stand up for their rights, and that will make a difference. And so, as you can see, the folks that are here, I think you recognize that it does make a difference. And as you also heard from the two that were at the AOA meeting, that it was a misconception of how she presented the side of her presentation about 1085. It was not what they told you. Anyway, I know that Sandra will get her act together pretty good, and she'd probably be a great representative in the future. Anyway.
There was a lady, I believe, that was coming forward over here.
Emily Smith, 71205 Whiskey Oaks Lane. Very quickly, my husband and I were at the AOA meeting, and there was a discussion afterward that we were there were about 2 or 3 or 4 of us that were from 1085. The others were from other areas, and we talked about this, the whole thing, Jeff gave a great presentation there, as he has tonight. But the basic thing that it comes down to is just how Mr. Loeb and the rest of us feel that things, if they start creeping, there's commercial area right there in Terrybella that could be bought. There are other places. They didn't have to come take a residential lot to put commercial on. And the parking is going to be in the front. The traffic coming off 1085 onto Holly, they're going to have to turn right into the parking area. It's a liability in that sense. He has a wonderful business that he has in other locations. We have no problem with his business. We have a problem with the location. And Sandra, I don't know whether she misunderstood that there was, in fact, we were going to talk later when we found out more about how the other people in the area felt about it. We haven't had a chance to talk, and I didn't know that she was feeling that it had been voted down. We didn't vote at that time on it. So I think it's just a misunderstanding. It's not Sandra that's the problem, AOA the problem. It's that we did discuss definitely that it was not in favor with the 1085 people. Thank you.
Is there anyone who has not spoken in opposition that would? Yes, sir. I'd rather have people who haven't spoken thus far come forward.
I'm Francis Auger, and I live at 15050 Evergreen Loop. I appreciate everything that everyone has said here. My only concern is the precedence that this is going to set. There are several undeveloped properties in Evergreen subdivision. And if you respectfully, if you approve this ordinance change, it sets a precedence that anyone can come in, purchase these other properties, and ask for zoning changes to rezone from residential. So I respectfully ask that you vote against this change. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. At that time, no, sir. Please don't. I defer to the. No, sir. You are out of time. This time, I will close it to the public and I will bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Matthews.
First of all, if we approve this, this will not set a precedent that would allow anybody to purchase property in the middle of this subdivision and expect it to be rezoned to NC1 or any commercial venture. We look at this piece of property at this time, where it is, and we'll make a decision. If someone buys a piece of property in the subdivision next year, they have the right to come to us and ask for a zoning change. Everyone that owns a piece of property or is buying a piece of property in St. Tammany Parish has the right to come to us and ask for a rezoning. That does not mean they're going to get their property rezoned. If you look at us on television or you come to these meetings, you will be aware that we turn down quite a few people that ask for rezoning. Tonight we postponed the church asking for rezoning because we thought they were making a mistake. So this does not set a precedent. I want to make that absolutely clear. If you look at what NC1 is, and yes, it is neighborhood commercial, there's no question about that, but it is a professional office district. It is not commercial in the conventional sense that most people think of commercial, that it's a shopping center with retail stores, that sort of thing. And the whole purpose of NC1 in particular, is to provide a limited number of professional types of buildings adjacent to or in close proximity, understand, in close proximity to residential areas. That's exactly what we're being asked to do today. So it appears to fit. You may not like it next to you, but this is what NC is all about. And There are some questions I have. One for the good doctor, or Jeff, the number of parking spaces, we have 20-something parking spots? That seems to be quite a large number, Jeff.
It will be based on code. We haven't actually designed the floor plan of the building yet. We have the
Okay.
footprint.
Excuse me.
Point of
Excuse
order.
me.
Point of order. The question was addressed to Mr. Shane. He can consult with who Mr. Shane wishes to, but the rest is to remain silent. Mr. Shane?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We will, of course, provide at least the amount of parking required by code. I think the current layout suggests 26 spaces. There's no particular design in that regard, meaning that whether that meets code or whether that's what we need. But I don't mean to suggest that that's what we put on the initial site plan, trying to be representative. What I didn't want to do was show 8 or 10 spaces and be criticized. Well, what if the business is good? And what if you end up having 2 dentists there and you might have 6 patients at one time and there's not enough parking places for the employees? So I erred, and the parking is not in front of the facility. The parking is on the side of the facility. It's not in front of the building along 1085.
So the building will front 1085?
Yes, sir.
But there'll be no entrance on 1085?
Correct. And in fact, that's shown on the site plan that hopefully is attached to the letter that you have before you.
I've seen the doctor's office on, right off of Sharp Road, and that really is a very attractive building for, I guess, first 8 or 9 times I passed it, I really didn't realize it was a commercial building. But I see from Jeff's submission that the people of that subdivision, while they were initially opposed to it, have decided that it is a good fit for their subdivision. And you all may not agree, but at least the people in the current subdivision where the doctor has his office do agree. And like I say, I think this seems to fit.
Commissioner Lauren?
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. I have real mixed emotions about this one. First of all, Mr. Shane has presented some very good arguments in favor of it. But when you boil it down to it, on the sheets that we're given, the zoning staff report, it shows that on the north, the south, the east, and the west, it's bounded by residential. I think we as a commission have an obligation to ensure that we don't do anything that disrupts the intent of what people's mindset was when they purchased their property. And I think the majority of these people bought their property because they thought that they were going to be in a residential area. And now we've got an instance where there's a proposed quasi-commercial, call it what you will. There have been some very nice developments in the Highway 21, 1077 and 1085 area that blended in, but there have been some god-awful ones that don't blend in. And we don't have any control over that once we put the NC1 stamp on it. The original intent of the comprehensive rezoning was to take the parish and zone out where commercial, industrial, and all the different types of zoning should be, so that when a person wanted to develop a business, they didn't have to come through this process. They could go look at the map and see what properties are available that meets my need, and they could go purchase that property. I think there's ample property in the area that's available, that's currently zoned, so that we don't have to put these people at risk or put them through the mental anguish that goes through it. So personally, I have to say that when I get through with all of my struggles, I just don't see how I personally can support this one.
Commissioner Dougherty.
Thank you, Mr. Piniella. Mr. Shane, I know that the sketch that you provided showing a tentative layout shows the driveway basically at the center of the property. Knowing that 1085 is a pretty busy road, I would think it might be better to have the driveway move back to the southeast corner of the property to give you a little bit more stacking area on Holly Drive. And
Sure.
so that's just a comment there, and might even, I don't know if the parish would maybe participate, but if a traffic count on Holly Drive indicated that it would be beneficial to have a right turn lane there at Holly and 1085, that would also probably be beneficial not only to the doctor's patients, but also some of the residents in the area. So that's just a couple of comments that
Thank you, I appreciate them.
Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure who to address this question to, but there was a comment made that there are subdivision covenants. And I'd like to know more about that. If that truly exists, how does this property fall into covenants that may exist in a subdivision? Is that Mr. Shane, maybe you can, if you've done any research on the property, are there subdivision covenants, and would this comply with those covenants?
I have not researched the covenants, but Dr. Grand's brother is an attorney in Baton Rouge who handled the act of sale. And I had cautioned Dr. Grand when he contacted me maybe 6 months ago to make sure that the restrictive covenants would not impede his ability to build a dental office at that location. As I rose to answer your question, I checked with Dr. Grand again, and he was advised that the restrictive covenant does not prohibit an
Thank you.
office. So that's what I understand.
Any further questions, Commissioner Richard?
I'm sorry.
Commissioner Davis.
Jeff, looking at this initial sketch site plan that you have, is that a 25-foot no-cut buffer that you have surrounding this dental clinic?
No, sir. I don't, the site plan, as you can see, is certainly preliminary and somewhat crude. It was only designed to try to show what the setbacks were for NC1 and how the property might lay out. I think when we look at the topography, when we look at the drainage pattern, there certainly could be some adjustments to the elements. The things that won't change, and I make this part of the record, is that the parking area will not be in front of the building, and there will be no access points to Highway 1085. Those are absolutes. And I think the comments that were made about possibly moving the driveway further south so that it would go out the southwest or near the southwest corner of the lot and allow for more stacking, if you will, all of which I've made notes of those things, and those are things that we will look at. Again, as you know, when we go through the permit process, every department in parish government has to take a look at the application and the permit, and they have to check the box to see if it meets all of the standards as it relates to traffic, drainage, et cetera.
I do like the idea that you won't have a turnoff in 330 feet of 1085. I do like that. The previous young lady who came up and said they had an accident on Highly Drive. Realistically, if this is left as A3, you could have that entrance to Holly Drive and then 3 more entrances off of 1085 onto that property. Okay.
Commissioner Drum?
May I have one of the staff come up here, please? I have a
Certainly.
question. John? This photograph that we have, I'm trying to picture what that is. Is that commercial? Is that residential? What is that? That's in your letter, Jeff.
That's the, may I
What is
comment to
that?
that,
Is
Mr.
that
Chair?
commercial or is that residential? What is that?
Oh,
Staff, or Mr. Shane,
I
if
think
you...
he's talking about other properties. I'm sorry. I thought he was asking about my site on the map. You're looking at the vicinity photo?
Yeah, it would. Photograph, it looks almost like a commercial yard of some kind. I'm just trying to figure out what it is.
There's nine vehicles there.
Yeah, that's the gentleman that lives to the south, and we can tell you what he has there.
That's just a resident, and it's the shop, he does hobby, that's why he just works on his motorcycle and works on his car.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the commission? Would any of the commissioners care to make a motion? Commissioner Dougherty?
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve.
Pardon me? No, out of order, sir. Thank you.
You had asked about the covenant, he says he has a copy of it. I have a copy of the covenant, it's at my house.
That'll be for the attorneys to decide from that perspective, but thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dougherty?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve zoning case 2015-56-ZC.
I second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dougherty to approve, a second by Commissioner Matthews. Is there any further comments? Please vote. I voted. That didn't, no, it does not pass. The motion is denied. Have to have majority vote.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, wait, who made the motion?
Motion by Dougherty, second by Matthews. Okay.
That's why it goes in denial.
Well, if you move to deny, if
Okay.
you move to deny to begin with, it's tied. No,
Case 2015-58-ZC, existing zoning, NC1 Professional Office District, HC2 Highway Commercial District. Proposed zoning, HC2 Highway Commercial District. The parcel, 1.32 acres. The petitioner, Kelly Pullen. Owner, 675 Properties LLC. The parcel is located at the end of 6th Street, north of Iberville Street, being lots 1 to 7 and 24 to 28, and portion of revoked 6th Street, Square 7, Chinchuba subdivision, Ward 4, District 4. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the site to be developed with residential uses. Staff does not have any objection to the request, considering that a portion of the site is currently developed with a parking lot. And also, another portion was a parish road, which was recently revoked. The purpose of the request is to bring the use into compliance with the appropriate zoning and to rezone the revoked street to allow for commercial development. Staff does not have any objection to the request and like to recommend approval.
Thank you. The petitioner?
Yes.
Please state your name and address.
Jason Riebert, Gulf States Real Estate Services, 109 New Camellia Boulevard, Covington, Louisiana. Here tonight on behalf of 6-7 Properties LLC. I have Kenny Pullen with Florida Marine Transports and also managing member of 675 Properties here as well. As staff had mentioned, this is the consolidation of zoning for the Florida Marine Transport expansion following the revocation of 6th Street and the re-subdivision of the property, which was just completed a few weeks prior. As staff additionally mentioned, the purpose is to assign zoning to the revoked portion of 6th Street and also for the existing parking lot, which is to the west of the property right now, which will be remain existing following the renovations to and expansions to Florida Marine Transports.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor?
I'm Tim Landry. I own the property next door at 2310 6th Street. I'm the one most impacted by this, and I think it's a great idea. Mr. Pazantine in Florida Marine has gone out of their way to alleviate a parking problem. Mr. Pazantine, the more I know about him, he could locate his business anywhere in Louisiana or Texas, and he chooses to have his business in Mandeville. I can speak for me and my building and Mike Ganaldo at Mandeville Party Company. We are very, very, very happy he's doing this and doing renovations and making the neighborhood a better place. So they had a gentleman in the prior thing, well, on 1085, talk about, oh, we're taking something that was zoned for whatever it was and turn it into HC2 highway. I don't know why the thing was never HC2. It's parking lot. Mr. Pazantine just bought a pretty much an abandoned warehouse and knocked it down, is making the parking lot, and just, this is a no-brainer. Give it to him and be happy we have Florida Marine Transporters in Mandeville. All right?
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Richard.
Well, this one I can help explain, because in 1992, there was a house on that property that I moved off the property when I built the parking lot that you're talking about. I had my business there for a number of years, and we were able to sell it to Florida Marine. Oh, boy, it's been a long time, over 10 years ago. I'm very, very familiar with that street, what was there, what will be there, and this is a no-brainer. This is not a situation where we're looking at something that was maybe residential or near residential that we're asking for an HC on. This is what it should be, and I move to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Richard, second by Commissioner Matthews. Is that correct? Or no, Commissioner Dowdy? David, Drum. I'll get one of them. I'll get eventually there. We have a motion by Commissioner Richard, a second by Commissioner Drum to approve. Is there any further comments? Please vote. Motion carries. Good job. Huh? All right, man, I'm good. I'll remember this in the job description. 2015-62-ZC, existing zoning, A3 Suburban District, proposed zoning, A4 Single Family Residential District. The parcel, .91 acres. The petitioner, Karen Rodriguez. The owner, Karen Rodriguez. The parcel is located on the south side of Alice Street and on the north side of Mary Street, west of Kaufman Drive, being lots 1 and 31, Square 12, Live Oak Hills subdivision, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with residential uses. Staff sees no compelling reason to recommend approval, considering the site is surrounded by residential uses in A3 zoning. Staff recommends request for A4 be denied.
Is the petitioner here? Please come to the podium. State your name and address.
She needs translate.
You take the microphone, pull it down. Thank you.
My name is Karen Rodriguez, 1 Alice Street, Madisonville, Louisiana, 70447.
Thank you.
I want
Please.
to translate to her.
By all means.
The reason that she won the petition is because she want to build a house. It's outside.
One moment, please. Okay. Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay. She wanna build a house behind that. She had a house in the Allison, in Allison. It's her house. In the back, she wanna in Mary Street. She wanna build a house for her mother-in-law. That's the reason that she wanna build that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of this? Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
Question for staff. The only way she can have two homes on this parcel is if it's A4? Is that the
Yes.
only reason why she's asking for the?
Well, yes and no, because at the same time, is if you look at the survey and if you look at the aerial, well, the house is like in the middle of the
Right.
property line crosses the house.
Right.
So basically, she's trying to move the property lines to make it one parcel for one residence and then have a separate parcel for the other residents.
Why, is that because the parcel would be on the property line of lot 31 is too close or something?
Well, right now, she doesn't have enough density. The A3 is one house per half acre. And then by doing the A4, it would allow her to create another lot and have the other residents on a totally separate lot.
Okay, so the house is currently on lot 1, correct?
On both. On both.
Yeah, my setbacks is what I'm thinking of. So they can't put a house on lot 31
Well, no, because of.
under the A3 zoning.
Because of the location, because the house that she has currently is on both lots.
Is that a stick-built house? Is that a stick-built house? Is that a
It's a stick-built.
mobile home?
It is a stick-built house.
It's on a slab.
Yeah. So if you want to, do you have this?
Yes.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have that.
The house, her house is over here. So this lot is empty for Mary Street. So she wanna build in this lot that empty. She had this space to empty, so she wanna build something like that.
Was lot number 1 purchased by itself first with the resident, then built the residence on that, and then the lot 31 was bought? Or were they both bought at the same time?
Yes, the same.
So they
it's the
both bought at the same time, and your intention was to put the house right in the middle? That was the initial plans?
same. Yeah,
So you can see the problem that you're having now?
Do you wanna look at this? Yeah, she wanna build, that's who's, she live over here, that house.
She
live with
lives the
family.
one in the middle.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
If you want me to clarify.
Yes, please, go ahead.
The zoning regulations, I guess, in the past, I don't know how old the house is, but they used to be able to build across a lot line. You can't do that anymore. So the only way for her to build another house is to subdivide a small lot on that Mary Street side.
That's
And the
what
only
she-
density they could do that would give them a lot size that's legal would be the A4.
That's what you want.
Would you have to change the entire
You gotta reach.
parcel to A4, or could you change lot 31 to A4?
Well, half of Lot 31, or not half, but a portion of Lot 31 is already built on with the existing structure.
Okay.
Commissioner Matthews?
Yeah, Steph, there would have to be a lot line adjustment. You'd have to move that lot line because the setbacks won't work.
But they can't do that until they get the underlying zoning to be able to do a lot line adjustment.
Okay? If we agree to rezone this, what's the next step?
Lot line
Resub.
adjusted.
Okay, how do they do that? Do they come back to us?
No, Ron Keller and the planning department.
That's done administratively? Okay, so that's, all right, I understand now. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Richard?
I have a question for staff. Is there intent to, and maybe you, is the intent for the same ownership of both? In other words, they're putting a house on, another house on it for themselves, or they're gonna sell it? Sell to the mother-in-law, so you wanna have separate ownership. It's not like you could have this with a guest house of 1,000 square feet or less.
No.
So, okay, that answers my question, because it maybe we could have just done a re-subdivision and a guest house and been slick. But what you're saying is they want to actually sell the property, title it separately.
No, it's just her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law live with her right now, so
Got it.
she wanna move her, separate.
But the mother-in-law could live in a house.
Have you ever heard the phrase out of state?
So together,
Get some money
but
out.
separate, you know what I mean?
But one ownership or two ownerships?
No, that's only one.
Just one ownership. She would own both properties?
You want, ¿vas a ser la misma dueña de los dos? Yes.
Well, back to my question then.
power.
Without rezoning it, can we have a guest house on it of 1,000 square feet or less? I don't know what they're trying to do.
No, sir,
No?
because
No.
if you calculate it, it comes to 39,000 square feet. It's not a full acre. Under the zoning, it would have to be at least 1 acre to allow for a guest house. on the
Garage
property.
apartment, all those things that we see,
That's
they wouldn't
correct. The
qualify.
minimum lot size is 1 acre.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Casabon?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner
Thank you.
Casabon to approve, second
why
by
did I
Commissioner
leave?
Matthews. I got it now. Any further discussion? Please vote. Jeez. Motion carries. 2015-66-ZC, existing zoning A3 Suburban District, proposed zoning A3 Suburban District, manufactured housing overlay. The parcel, 20,000 square feet. The petitioner, Alba Velasquez. The owner, Alba Velasquez. The parcel is located on the east side of Eagle Street, south of Bobby Jones Drive, north of Ed Ray Drive, being Lot 16, Square 46, Hillcrest Subdivision, Addition Number 1, Ward 6, District 6. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with uses that would allow for preservation of the natural environment. Staff does not have any objection to the request, considering that the area is developed with a mix of manufactured homes and undeveloped land. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Petitioner here. Anyone wish to speak in support? Anyone wish to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
Motion to approve.
A motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, a second by Commissioner Dougherty. Commissioner Lauren, any further comment? No? We have a motion to approve and second. Please vote. Motion carries. 2015-67-CZ, existing zoning, A4 Single Family Residential District, proposed zoning, PF1 Public Facilities District, the parcel 1.452 acres. The petitioner, Bernice Leggett, the owner, Bernice Leggett. The parcel is located in the end of Dixie Street, south of Browns Village Road, Ward 9, District 14. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the site to be developed with residential uses. Staff is not opposed to the request, considering that the objectives of the PF1 zoning is to provide the location of governmental and institutional uses to the public. However, a concern remains regarding the potential traffic that the uses listed under PF1 could bring to the neighborhood, considering that the abutting streets to access the site are quite narrow. Note the zoning change is being requested to allow for construction of a church on the site. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Yes, sir. Anyone? Yes, please come to the podium, state your name and address, sir.
My name is Steve Abrams, and I'm representing my mom, Bernice Leggett, who's here, the owner. And I'm also the pastor of the church that we're planning to build on the property.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
You're not going to you're not going to put a cell tower up there, are you?
Absolutely not.
Well, I'm looking at the overhead, and it's an ideal place for it.
Yeah, it is.
Right next to
it really is. But no, not at all.
But he can, but he could. He could.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, a second by Commissioner Matthews. Any further comments? Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
ZC 13-04-022, existing zoning, a major amendment to the planned unit development overlay. Parcel 16.811 acres. The petitioner, Mark Malcolmus. The owner, Step 3 Investments, LLC. The parcel is located at the end of Andrew Drive, east of Hollycrest Lane, Ward 3, District 5. Staff?
The requested major amendment to the PUD consists of a proposal to provide some improvement to an existing nearby dog park in lieu of the construction of a half basketball court within a subdivision. Staff is not in favor of the request, considering that one of the criteria to meet the objective of the PUD is to provide functional and beneficial uses of open space areas within the subdivision, and also to provide some active amenities for the residents of the subdivision. The removal of the proposed half basketball court will result in the creation of a vacant open space area. So at this time, staff does not recommend approval of the requested major amendment to the PUD.
Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Manella. Paul Marone on behalf of Step 3 Investments, LLC, which is the developer of Audubon Trail subdivision. This subdivision is located immediately adjacent to the dog park on Andrew Drive. As you're aware from the staff comments and probably your familiarity with the project, we had originally proposed as one of our active amenities to have the half-court basketball court. I would point out that the plan also calls for, and we are constructing, a walking path within the subdivision, so that will remain. However, as we began moving forward with the development, and the development is now completed, we began to have discussions with our neighbor, the dog park, and with Councilman Marty Gould about the possibility of a cooperative endeavor where we might make some improvements to that dog park, which would enhance the invitability of that park, not only for the residents at large generally, but for our residents. It will provide an amenity that our residents can appreciate and can utilize. And the facility's already there, and it's a good facility, but there are some things that could be done to improve that. Through those discussions, Councilman Gould was supportive, and we proposed that we would make certain improvements to the dog park in lieu of the proposed half-court basketball court, believing that our residents would get more active use out of a improved park area that is immediately next door rather than just a half-court basketball court. So it is with that we come to you with the request this evening. Now, in the letter that is before you, we had listed 3 improvements that were intended to be made. Since the letter was submitted, we have met with the Rec District about each of those items, and they have requested that we delete one of the items in lieu of something else, and staff brought to our attention the fact that the portalet is really not something that will be there long term. So we would ask for your approval for the amendment this evening to allow us to forego the basketball court for the improvements, but we would change and amend our request to replace some of the items on the letter. First, we will do the parking lot, but rather than doing the landscaping, which they were concerned, there were some concerns about that, they have asked that in lieu of that we work on and improve a large ditch that is on the facility now that is overgrown and is somewhat unsightly, that we come in, we clean that ditch, remove the spoil, which we're agreeable to doing, come in with limestone in that ditch so that they don't continue to have weed problems, that will present a better, a cleaner appearance, a more inviting appearance, and that we pay for that limestone and all the work associated with it in addition to the parking lot. We are agreeable to doing that. Have a letter of from the Recreational District, which is the owner of the dog park, from Ms. Kathy Foley, the director, in support of the request. They believe that the request would be very beneficial to the park. We believe that it will be very beneficial to our development. So in our view, it's a win-win. It's good for the park, it's good for our development. So we would ask for your consideration this evening to amend the PUD for the sole purpose of allowing us to make these improvements in lieu of the half-court basketball court. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners may have.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of this? Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Yes, sir. In favor or opposition?
Opposition. You know, when it's,
If you would, sir, please state
my
your
name
name
is
and address.
Armand Bennett. I live at 71 Hollycrest. I face the development.
Thank you, sir.
I've watched it under construction for almost 2 years. In the initial stage of the game, we were promised that this development was going to be for structures similar to Orchard and things like this. And then they came up with a petition, about 4 or 5 months ago, to change it on the setback for 0 setback, which y'all approve, which turns out to be party wall doubles. The second part of this equation is that, and I have no objection to the basketball court, but to sink any more money into this dog park is not of any value. There are a few people that use this park. Myself, I do, but very seldom. It's got a little crushed gravel parking lot and a little walkway. But every time I go out there may be one other person out there with their dogs. This is not a high traffic area on the thing. Replacing the ditch, I think that comes under the maintenance of the people at the Recreation District. However, what I would suggest is, if they want to trade off anything, at this particular time, and he's calling this completion, or substantial completion, the construction grade on this project here is higher than us. The mud, the water, when it rains, would come down our street. It was myself that went to the parish engineer and asked them to put in straw bales. All they had was a piece of visqueen, black visqueen. They have the straw bales there that's keeping the mud and water out now. The straw bales are going away. If you really want to do something here, make them put in this chain wall, excuse me, make them put in a chain wall. Because once the people, he's gonna put this on the individual builders of the property, and that's gonna be 10 fights instead of one-on-one. That's all I have to say here. Oh, one other thing. There's still holes on this property that hasn't been filled in around drains. They have our Hollycrest sign that they broke when they were putting in the sewers that hasn't been fixed. They put it back up in 2 pieces and left it there. The retention pond that they dug to fill the property in has never filled up. Tell me where this water's going, because it had a lot of rain in the last year. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good evening. My name is Stella Michaud. I live at 63 Hollycrest, which is directly across from the parking area from this development. They, at the last planning and zoning meeting, it was my understanding that they were changing the setbacks on the units that abutted our property to 15, and I see on this plat here that they have them still listed at 10-foot setbacks. Also on this plat subdivision, they have the conceptual layout as Hollycrest Residential PUD, which we are already Hollycrest Residential PUD. So there's distinct confusion there. They can't have 2 developments with the same name. The drainage issues that I complained about at the last meeting, we're still having issues with. Our association has already spent over $4,000 trying to correct the problems that are being created from this development. We still have another $4,000 worth of drainage to put in to try to alleviate the problems of the water coming from this development down into our subdivision and running down the road and into people's units. So I personally am very opposed to this. If they want to spend money rather than spending it on a dog park, maybe they could spend some on the neighbors our side and helping our drainage situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition? If not at this time, Mr. Moran, rebuttal.
With all due respect, virtually nothing that they said has anything to do with this request. They're not party wall doubles. We are not talking about drainage. We're not talking about anything that was just referred to in their comments. The issue before you tonight is very simple. We believe that the residents that will live in this development and the public at large will benefit from certain improvements being made to the dog park. The gentleman said not very many people use it there right now. We think that it can be better, and we would like to spend some money to make it better. If you decide that we can't do that, we'll build our half-court basketball court, and we'll go on down the road. That's all that we're here about tonight. The rest of it is irrelevant and not related to what we're talking about. We believe that the residents of our development will have better opportunity for recreation and to utilize the amenities that are there that just need to be improved a little bit. If the commission feels differently, then we'll build the half-court basketball court. We think that would not serve our development best or the public at large. The recreational district believes that it would serve the district better to have the improvements made. So we see it as a win-win. We would respectfully request your approval to do that.
Thank you. Would you care to rebut, sir?
In all respects here, what I'm saying is, from the beginning, there was a promise or a statement about the quality of the residents that were going to be here. And in 2 amendments to this thing, including this one, I don't see an improvement. I see it, what I think is a degrade. Party wall double, 0 setback, it's the same house, same 2 houses. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. This time I'll close it to the public, bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
Paul? Does Step 3 Investments own this dog park?
It does not. It is owned by Recreational District Number 1 of St. Tammany Parish.
Okay. So it's not part of the PUD?
It is not part of the PUD. It is immediately adjacent to the PUD, but it is not part of the PUD itself. That's
So
correct.
how is that a benefit of making it an extension of a dog park for the people that will eventually be living there?
Well, the issue really is the amenities that can be enjoyed by the people in our development. That's what the half-court basketball court is for.
Right.
Right? Whether or not the improvements that result in the amenities are on this side of the line or that side of the property line, I don't know that it really matters. So how does it affect the people in the development? I guess the question would be, do we think more people will utilize for recreation the dog park or the half-court basketball court? That's really what it comes down to. We think the dog park which is immediately next door. It's not within, but it's across the property line. And we think that there are some good attributes, but we think it can be better. So we just think that that would be a better use of the funds, in our opinion.
And what is the actual size of the property you're thinking about giving to the rec district? The actual size of the property with the basketball court, whatever it is.
Well, all we would do is we would not construct the basketball court.
Okay.
That is proposed to be within our development. That would remain just green space.
Okay.
And we would utilize those funds for the improvements to be made at the dog park, to make it a better facility that could
so
be.
You're not saying that the dog park will be inside of this PUD then?
No.
Oh.
No,
okay.
no.
I'm sorry.
No.
I thought you were saying, okay, let's take rid of the basketball court and let's go ahead and extend the property and give it a bigger for the dog park.
No. I'm
That's-
sorry if
okay,
I
see, that's-
confused.
Nah, that's not
Mr.
what I
Davis,
interpreted.
the dog park is already existing. If you,
Right.
if you see on your little zoning map, the
Right.
colored one, it's directly behind the orchards.
Show it to them.
Yeah,
Oh,
if you look at the
color one.
aerial
I'm sorry.
that is in your
I'm sorry.
in your
Okay.
packet,
In your packet.
you will see,
Right.
as Ms. Lambert said, directly behind the orchard, immediately adjacent to this subdivision.
Okay, so it's not gonna be, it's not part of the PUD?
No.
You just basically, okay.
We're just improving the facility that's there to make it better.
Facility, which helps the rec district.
Correct.
Okay.
Commissioner Richard.
Well, actually, I think Paul, you might have answered my question. If you don't put the basketball court there, it's going to be green space. Is it going to be cleared, like open, active green space? Or are you going to leave it wooded? What's the idea?
I believe that area is already cleared.
Okay.
So it will remain in its natural state.
So if they put picnic tables or anything else
Correct.
out there, that'll be fine.
That's
I know
correct.
exactly where it is right here. Okay, I've got that. Well, for full disclosure here, Bill and I sit on Rec District Number 1. Now, I don't believe we have any kind of a conflict voting on this because we don't have any financial gain. But Rec District Number 1 does own or operate that dog park. I'm sure it needs some care. It was donated to us, and quite frankly, I'm not quite even sure the layout of it. But it was a drainage area, I believe, so, it's also used for drainage, so it can fill up in rain. Is there a park around it? I mean, a walking path around it?
Yeah, may I?
Yeah, please.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it is. First, it's about a 2-acre dog park that's fenced in, and it has a specific type of fencing that dogs can't get out of, and it's designed to let dogs run leash-free. There is also a quarter mile, or a little bit larger than quarter mile, walking path, kind of a circuitous walking path around that. And additionally, there about half of a football field of just open area that's available for kids to play or do whatever they want to do into it. And yes, it initially was a detention pond that was donated to the rec district, and the rec district spent the funds to put an amenity there. And the gentleman is correct, it is not overly used at all. However, we expect that the new development that's being built will increase the use. We also understand that there's a potential development adjacent to the dog park that will also increase the use. And we are actively trying to let people know that it's there. The other dog park we have within the original Recreation District Park is very, very heavily used. And we're hoping that this gets more use. I live in a subdivision that has a half-court basketball goal in it. That was one of the amenities that our developer put. I sure would like to have that torn up and moved because nobody uses it for basketball. And I say nobody. Very, very few people use it for basketball, probably less than the people that use the dog park over there currently. So I understand removing a basketball court in a subdivision like they're building is probably worthwhile. They're going to put in some stuff that's going to increase the availability, the use of the dog park, going to make it a little bit better. And instead of spending money on a basketball court that won't get used, maybe they'll be spending their money on a dog park and walking area that will be used, and I think it's a good idea. And yeah, I'm a member of the board of Rec District Number 1, just for full disclosure. Actually, I'm the vice chairman.
Commissioner Dougherty?
Yes, sir. Paul, just looking at the map here of how it's going to be, the subdivision is going to be configured, what is the target age group of this subdivision? Is it young families, middle age, senior citizens, or what?
I would say not young families. It is going to be middle age to an older demographic.
Okay, that goes along with Bill's comments then that, you know, do away with the basketball goal and do something else, because generally middle-aged to senior citizens, you don't have children that will utilize that. So that makes more sense now that I know kind of some of the age on it. And the drainage off the development here goes into a retention pond?
Yes.
How is it affecting the folks at Hollycrest?
At one time during construction, there was some drainage that before the ditches and all were built. To my knowledge, all of that is completed. If there are still issues, they need to make us aware of that, make the parish aware of that, and we will correct that. Because there are ditches around this entire site to collect that water and to get it to our retention pond so that it's metered out.
The individual homeowners in Hollycrest shouldn't be paying to improve the drainage.
Should not.
So, okay, that's what I've got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any motions?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Any further comments? Please vote. Motion carries. ZC 05-12-076. Existing zoning, major amendment to a PUD plan unit development overlay. The parcel 33.68 acres. The petitioner, Sean M. Burks. The owner, SLJ Berkshire LLC. The parcel located north of Abney Farm Road, east of Hollycrest Lane, Ward 8, District 9. Staff?
The request consists of an amendment of the previously approved setback, and as you can see in the chart below, basically they're trying to make the setbacks uniform throughout the subdivision. Staff does not have any objection and recommend approval.
Mr. Burks.
How you doing? Thank y'all. I know it's been a long night for all of y'all. Hopefully y'all can get out here pretty soon. Basically, this is Berkshire subdivision. We're actually on the agenda to come up for final next week. So y'all will be seeing us again for this shortly. Just to make a long story short, the major changes are the side setbacks are from 7.5 feet going to 5. And then the front setbacks, we had them split and from 15 and 25 foot fronts to just go to straight 15 foot. The type homes they're going to be constructing is kind of a carryover from Ashton Park. Some of the same type homes are going to be moved over here. And because of those type homes that are coming over, we need that extra little bit of room right there for the consistency. I'm here to if have any questions anybody has, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Rochelle Villegas. I live at 400 Oakley Boulevard in Pearl River. I'm here today. I have to tell you that I've been researching all of this information as it pertains to Berkshire subdivision. When I bought my home back in October of 2009, I bought it with the pretense that, I left it on the desk, that I had a homeowners association that was going to be implemented along with certain covenants and so forth that was registered with St. Tammany Parish. That is the reason that I bought my home. In those covenants, it clearly states regarding setbacks, it talks about square footage of homes, etc. The thing is now today, I have to tell you, there are other people here from my subdivision that can attest to the fact that when this change happened, apparently in 2013, that a HUD, a PUD was changed, a major amendment to the PUD, we had no idea that this even took place. Apparently, we were told that signs were posted. We don't even know what they were referring to. According to my documents that I was given when I moved in, a section of that, I want to say it's section 9, part 3, says that we were going to be notified by mail that any changes, anything that ever happened with the subdivision, we were going to be notified by mail of anything. Now, were we notified of these setbacks right now? Yes, we were. But were we notified back in 2013 that, one, a major PUD change happened? No, we were not. The other thing is that at that particular point, the only thing that ever took place in 2013 that we are aware of, that we can attest to, is the fact that they were trying to create an entryway for a gentleman to build a home on at the very front on, we call it Robert Road Extension. I don't know the exact address. That's that. One of my major concerns why I will not, why I'm not wanting to go in basically to say I approve what they're doing, also is I did contact Ms. Lambert's office. I questioned the fact of who owns the roadways. We have been dealing with, the property that they're developing on has been sitting vacant since before I bought my home. Like I said, I've been there since 2009. At this particular point, our roadways, the safety of our children are being jeopardized because our roadways are being torn up. I have pictures I can show you. They're tearing up all the corners. I live on the very corner of Oakley Boulevard. Everything that they're doing is going to change the value of my home. They're putting asphalt back there. It's going to change the value of my home. Recently, we've had 3 homes sell in the last 2 months with another one for sale today because of everything that's going on. The only thing that we're asking is for consideration on the roadways and on stuff that's ongoing. They have no consideration for the existing people of Oakley. They have clearly defined that in their amendment of the PUD change when they did that. He just stood up here and said, he is Berkshire subdivision. Well, then why do you need to use Oakley Place ingress and egress as your way of doing 91 homes for the subdivision? So anything as a result of this, I'm not in favor of, because as far as we're concerned, if you have your own ingress and egress, which can be done with rooms to go, then do that. We're okay with that. Divide us. You've divided us at that point. Continue to divide us. Let us do our own thing. Again, like I said, though, my concern now is I was given documentation, which I have here at the desk, when I bought my home. That was supposed to be what I bought. Well, that's not really what I bought, because now all these changes have come into play, and everything that I thought I purchased is now going to be lowered in value. So I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition?
My name is Tony Kuhn, 304 Abney Farm Road. I just had a question about the setbacks. If you're minimizing from 7.5 to 5 feet, does that close your homes? Is that the distance between the homes?
No, this distance between the home and the property line.
So you want to put the house closer to the property line? Then the lot sizes won't change? No. Okay.
No, please address the commission.
I apologize.
That's okay.
I'm basically just, not aware of
Understanding
the
what it-
terminology. But yeah, just to carry back with her, just this whole new development has caused tremendous nightmares for the current residents, just with the trucks coming and going. I don't know who we contact. We've contacted Parish, and we've gotten no answers or responses, and they continue to disrupt our neighborhood with the new development. So I guess I just don't want to see, with the continuation of this development, with the new trucks and the new everything coming in, I just don't want to see the same occurrences that we've had with the land clearing already. So that's just my biggest concern right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition?
My name's Clayton Crawford. I live at 404 Oakley Boulevard. I bought my house in June of 2014 with no notion of a new subdivision being put up at all. I believe this came about, or the notice was put up sometime in June of the same year, I guess either right before I bought my house, I'm not sure. Anyway, I wouldn't have bought the house if I'd have known 92 homes were going to be put up, and that was 92 that they told us in the beginning. Now it says 111, and then is this 119, this number of 119 homes, is this why they're wanting this setback to add more homes into this? Like, no? So how many homes are we looking at now?
Let's see.
91. Okay, because there's some plans floating around that say, yeah, he has a plan right there that says 119. That was June of 2013, and this is August of 2013. So we haven't been updated with any of these new plans, what's going on. And there again, we have a private driveway, who allows them to come in and put a new subdivision through an existing private driveway or subdivision? Did the parish allows that? Who is that?
Am I correct, what's in front of the commission at this point is a change of setbacks?
Right.
That's the question in front of us, correct? Okay.
Okay.
Then I would respectfully ask, I can hear
Yes, sir.
your frustrations, but what is in front of this commission right now is any opposition you may have relative to changing the setbacks.
Understand.
It's the only thing that's in front of us.
Yes, sir. So their final that they had next week, is that something that I could express some of these issues at their final?
The public is always welcome to come to the planning.
Yes, sir. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition to this recommended change in the setbacks? If not, Mr. Burks, if you'd like to rebut.
As far as the setbacks are required, the intent is to have a consistent setback through this subdivision back here at Berkshire. In regard to the other phases back there, I'll be happy to meet with these nice folks afterward and kind of explain what all has happened from day one to the end, because this is different from whatever we're talking about right now. But anyway, it is true that this development came up before PUD in 2013, and we got a work order to start construction in 2015, and the construction's going on. We're up for final for coming up next week. So we can go ahead and address their concerns right now, and if there are any site-specific issues, we'll go ahead and address those right now. But as far as a setback, this is just to allow a kind of a nicer home on these lots. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other rebuttal relative to the setbacks? Yes, ma'am.
Sir, with all due respect, I've driven through Ashton Oaks just recently, actually just over the Thanksgiving holiday. Their homes are basically on top of one another. It basically clearly defines that they're a separate subdivision than Oakley Place. Yet they want to, in the change of the PUD, and I understand we're here for setbacks, but what I'm here to state is that their setbacks, as a result of how they're going to determine their housing, will affect Oakley Place residents. And the reason that I say that is because they will be using our ingress and egress, as those roads are not dedicated roads except for the entryway to the parish. They are private roads. My paperwork that I mentioned before when I bought my home is here for anyone to view. It was filed with you guys in September of 2007 of what I bought. I did not buy Berkshire subdivision. When you enter my subdivision, it clearly says Oakley Place. There is no definitive stature that this is a separate subdivision, okay? And that's our concerns. They have asphalt roads, we have concrete roads. Their trucks can't make turns. I have oversized 18-wheelers driving in front of my home, driving across my driveway that I have.
Respectfully, ma'am, if you want to
I
address
hear you,
the
sir.
setbacks, we will entertain it. Otherwise, I would ask you
Well,
to close.
I'm opposing anything to do with, anything that they want to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other rebuttal? Hearing none, at this time, I'd close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Dougherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sean, on the number of lots, you're currently going to have 91 if this is approved with the additional changes to the setbacks, right?
Yes, it's 91 lots.
Okay, and the, with the current setbacks, was that still 91?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so there's no change there.
Correct.
And I think I heard you say that the PUD was put in place in 2013?
Correct.
Okay. Helen, this is kind of in your game. Are the roads in Oakley Place, are those private roads? Or are they part of the parish road system?
They're not parish maintained. They are not parish maintained.
Okay, thank you. So that brings up another little problem that the developer's gonna have to address, is maintaining and repairing the private roads that are being apparently,
Sure.
okay, destroyed to some extent.
Right, and I'll be happy to bring that up with them afterward. But as far as with this group, if there's damage to the roads, I know there's bonds in place to handle those kind of issues.
Okay. Was any of this property in this PUD wet? Do you have wetlands permit, or did you have to get wetlands permit?
We did not have to get a wetlands permit. The wetlands have been avoided.
Okay. And the approximate price of the homes,
I'm not privy to that, but my assumption is that the same people that were building the homes in Ashton Oaks, or Ashton Park, are actually moving over here. So my assumption is going to be the same type price homes, probably up to 200,000, more or less, would be my
Okay.
guess.
all right. That's the only questions that I had.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Davis.
I have a question. So the only reason you're asking for the setbacks is to make the house bigger?
Yes.
How much bigger?
Well, it's
Your
just,
average
I mean, the side setbacks right now are 7.5.
Right,
This is
you're
just to
going to
pick up
5.
2.5 feet on each side, yeah.
All right, let's think about this. So you got the same number of lots, you just want to have them closer together so you can build a bigger house. I understand that.
Sure.
I do understand that. You're driving through a private road to get into the subdivision, is that correct?
This is a very long and convoluted story. The initial developer of Oakley Place had financial difficulties, and he lost the development and had to sell it to the new developer came in and did Berkshire.
Gotcha.
So we're dealing with a different entity.
Okay, but is this going to be solved before final?
The plan is yes, it's planned, the road ownership is planned on being solved. It has been requested to be taken in by the parish. The issues have been, it should be on the council agenda coming up this week, I believe.
Can we take over a road that starts through a private subdivision, then goes into a public?
It was always public. The road was intended to be
All right, so,
public.
no, I'm saying is a private driveway to get to this public?
Yes, it's not public right now. The parish has not accepted it into their maintenance system, but it's in the process to be accepted into the maintenance system. So the people are correct. It's a private road right now.
Okay, your subdivision restrictions, what's your minimum square footage of the home? And is that going to increase because of this reduction of setbacks?
I can't even tell you that. I don't know that off the top of my head. I'd have to. It's going to be very similar. It's going to be the similar type homes as the models that they have in Ashton Park, which is just right down the road from this site.
And we don't need any kind of extra drainage calculations due to the increase in concrete?
No.
Or anything like that?
No.
Is that correct?
In fact, the majority of these lots had that same exact setback. We're changing it to all of them to be consistent.
Okay.
Commissioner Matthews.
Yeah, I'm a little confused about the private road, the public road, whatever. As I understand, this isn't a private subdivision. This is a subdivision that has not had the roads accepted into the parish maintenance.
Correct.
So it's not a private road. It's a public road, but it hadn't been accepted into the parish maintenance.
That's
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Helen, are we correct with that? That it's not accepted into the parish maintenance, but it's not a private road that's taken care of by the homeowners association then? Is that correct?
Well, until it's taken in by the parish, it's not maintained by the parish.
But it's still a public road.
Well, if you want to call it a public road, but it's right now it's private until it's parish maintained. It's taken into the parish maintenance system.
Council,
would you try to clear this up, because it's real confusing?
I will try to clear it up, but hopefully I won't add to the confusion. When a subdivision is developed, the intention of the developer is either to make it a gated subdivision where gates are basically installed to prevent public access. Access would only be provided to owners of property within the subdivision. All of you know that. Then, of course, you have subdivisions that are not private gated subdivisions, which means that the developer intends, upon completion of the subdivision, to dedicate the roads to the public. Okay? So at that point, they become arguably public roads, but the question still remains, who maintains them? Well, until the parish accepts them into their road maintenance system, the parish does not maintain them. The burden of maintaining them is still on the owner of the subdivision. So in this particular case with Oakley, like Mr. Burke said, at some point in the intention of the developer was to dedicate the roads to the parish, essentially making them public roads. He did not have the intention of creating a gated subdivision where there would be an entry gate on Oakley Street or whatever, and permission to enter the road would only be granted to those individuals owning property within Oakley. So at some point, perhaps in the near future, Oakley Street and the one adjacent to it will be public roads in the parish maintenance system. But I don't believe that the parish will accept the roads into the maintenance system until those roads are brought to the parish road standard. If there is damage being done to the roads because of construction of Berkshire, it is the responsibility of the owner of that road, if you will, the developer, to fix them at the appropriate time. I'm not able to say when the appropriate time is, but all I can tell you is, from what I understand, this is not a private subdivision. These roads are intended for public use, but they are not yet being maintained by the parish because they have not been accepted into the parish road maintenance system.
Thank you.
Question?
Commissioner Lauren.
Just so you all can help me get out of the fog, are both of these subdivisions, or either one of them, private? So
No.
the original one is public. The new one, right now, is private until such time as it's accepted into the,
No, would it, see if this is correct. When a developer develops a subdivision, the roads remain under the developer's care and custody until such time that the subdivision is complete. We're talking about a public subdivision. At that time, when the subdivision is substantially complete and met all codes, then the roads are presented to the parish to meet the parish code, and then they're accepted, and then the parish maintains the roads.
okay.
And it's, I think the difficulty we're having here is using the term private and public. It's really developer and public, that the developer retains control, custody, and care till such time that it is complete, and then it goes to the parish. So these were never intended to be a private, as we would think, gated subdivision. They were always, correct. They were just stating in a state of development, haven't been completed yet. Commissioners, any further questions? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Matthews makes a motion to approve. Second by Commissioner Richard. Any further comments? Please vote. Motion carries. ZC 12-03-023, existing zoning, major amendment to a planned unit development overlay, parcel 50.34 acres. The petitioner, James H. Simpson, the owner, Team Discipleship Incorporated. The parcel is located on the north side of Penn Mill Road, west of Quave Road, north of U.S. Highway 190, Ward 3, District 3. Staff?
The request consists of a reconfiguration of the previously approved plan in order to remove most of the lots from the wetlands area. The new layout also shows the addition of a cross street between lots 33 and 34 and lots 53 and 54, which is required in order to meet the regulation regarding the maximum block length under Ordinance 499. The reconfiguration of the site also results in some changes to the width of some of the lots, and you can see the chart below which shows the different changes, and a reduction of the total percentage of green space, considering that some retention ponds are being provided on the site. Also, Parcel A and Parcel B, located along Pallet Court, are not intended to be buildable lots. Parcel A contains unpermitted wetlands, and there's a small pond on Parcel B. At this time, staff would like to recommend approval of the requested major amendment to the PUD.
Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Paul Marone on behalf of the petitioner. This 51.22 acres was zoned A3 with a PUD overlay back in 2012. You may recall that we came back to you for a major amendment in 2014. At that time, we reconfigured the northern part of the development in an effort to try to make it such that we would be successful with the Corps of Engineers. Since that time, we've been engaged with the Corps, and it is the actions at the Corps that brings us back to you this evening to again ask for your permission to reconfigure the northern part of the development. The plan before you is the plan that the Corps has approved from their standpoint. So we are asking to be able to come into compliance with that. The components that the Corps was looking at is that they did not want the ditch along the west side, the northwest side of the property to be disturbed. They also wanted the wetlands in GS6, as you'll see it on the plat, to be preserved as well. That necessitated a change in the roadway location to the north and also to the location of those lots. The only other changes, other than the reconfiguration, is the crossroad that was mentioned by Ms. Lambert, so that we meet the block length requirement. By and large, the lower two-thirds of the development have not been changed. Some very minor changes with regards to lot widths, none of which are significant. The density remains the same. The green space is by and large the same, except that we did add an additional pond, so we're only getting half credit for that, but we still have over 33% green space in the project. We're asking for your approval on the amendment this evening, but I do want to note, some of you may recall that we have worked closely with some of our neighbors, in particular those with the Covington-Vincent Airport, many of which have stayed through all of the meetings this evening to be here for the hearing. And I want to reconfirm for them and for the commission that our commitments that we made back to them in 2012, which were memorialized in my letter, there were 4 items that none of those commitments will change. We intend to comply and will comply with each and every one of those. In addition to that, we have also made several new commitments to them that I would like to put on the record this evening so that you might consider as part of any approval that you may give. One is that we have agreed with them that the green space located behind lots 73 to 70, which stops at the north end of that retention pond, that will be a no-cut, no-clear area, and we will designate that on the plat. In addition, some of the commitments that we made to them back in 2012 was that we would have certain language in our restrictive covenants and so forth, and they've asked that when that is drafted that we give them an opportunity to review it with their attorney and to comment on it and to make sure that they're comfortable with that. And we are committed to doing that and will do that. And we appreciate their time and effort in meeting with me and looking at this plan and talking about options to try to address their concerns. So we very much appreciate their attitude and willingness to work with us. In addition, we've been working with our neighbor to the north, Mr. and Mrs. DePaul. We've also made some concessions with them that I would also like to make on the record this evening, and also for you to consider as part of any approval that you might give. The first is that we will construct a 6-foot wooden fence along our entire northern boundary with them. That fence will be constructed and in place prior to any home building being started, so that when we are building our infrastructure, we will build that fence at the same time, so that when we come to you for final, that fence will be in place. We have also agreed to designate the green space area on the west side, adjacent to their property line, from our north line down to Lot 85 as a no-cut, no-clear green space area. And we will make that notation on the plat as well. Finally, the DePauls wanted to have some plantings along the property line, bamboo or pine trees, and we have agreed to contribute to that in the sum of $3,000. We will make that payment to them in the very near future so that they can get started with that, even though it will be some time before we get to the point where we're developing the property adjacent to them. That will give time for those plants to mature. So again, we're asking for the changes to reconfigure the north side, as you see on your plat. I would ask that you consider all of these items that I've mentioned with regards to the airport and the DePauls as part of any approval that you might give. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that any of you may have with regards to anything I've said this evening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor? Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I close it to the public, bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, I really appreciate how y'all have worked, and give my regards to Mr. Simpson on working with all his neighbors, and I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve, second by Commissioner Willie. Commissioner Drum.
Paul?
Yes, sir.
On parcel A and parcel B, they're not going to be built on, is that correct?
That is correct.
So
That's
who's
correct.
going to maintain them? Is that going to be part of the covenants, or is that going to be donated to the subdivision? I mean, what's going
Yes.
to happen to that?
That will basically be maintained like the rest of the green space. It'll be maintained by the homeowners association as common areas.
Commissioner Dougherty.
Oh, the fence that's going to be constructed, those will, after the lots are sold, those will become the responsibility of the homeowners, but the developer's going to maintain those until such time as those are sold?
Yes, and in fact, part of our agreement with the DePauls is that entire fence will be maintained by the developer until such time as the lots are sold out, at which time the covenants will provide that that fence will be maintained by the homeowners association as a common expense.
Good, thank you.
Commissioner Richard.
One last question. In your area that you've got as a no-cut, no-clear on actually on your east and west borders, there's an existing ditch. Does that mean you don't get to service that ditch and clean it out and keep it clear, or?
Yes, we would have the ability to clean the ditch, but other than that, there would be no clearing or anything other than what would be necessary to maintain the flow in the ditch.
Thanks.
Any further questions? We have a motion by Commissioner Casabon, a second by Commissioner Willie to approve. Please vote. Motion carries. Is there any old business to come before the commission? Any new business? Who's buying the coffee? I take that as a motion to adjourn. So moved.